3 days after Doomsday, a relentless snowstorm has frozen the entire world. This wasn't just a blizzard. Terrifying monsters now patrol the skies over the ruined cities. Vicious creatures have claimed the rooftops, feasting on whatever they can find. Down below, a different kind of beast growls, its eyes scanning the frozen streets. It surveys the urban wasteland, a graveyard of abandoned cars and smoldering ruins. But not all monsters are wild. A massive wolf-like creature sits patiently on guard. Its piercing red eyes watch over the desolate landscape, a silent, powerful sentinel. Meanwhile, a survivor fumbles in the dark, desperately trying to gather supplies without making a sound. He glances outside, thankful that his loyal, beastly companion is keeping the real threats at bay. With his lookout secured, he finishes grabbing the last of the essential medical supplies. With medicine secured, his next mission is a supermarket run for food. But as he's leaving, something on the counter catches his eye. He scores an old phone, a small victory in this frozen hellscape. Tucking it away for a friend, he hopes she can work her tech magic and build them an escape. Back outside, the biting cold is a brutal reminder of the world's new reality. A quick whistle signals his beastly partner, who's been keeping watch from the rooftops. He navigates the grim streets, a frozen testament to those who weren't fast enough. The thought of a safe shelter pushes him to run even faster through the snow. His path is blocked by a massive building, and strange noises echo from ahead. Peeking around the corner, he finds the source, a pair of grotesque creatures enjoying a gruesome meal. He signals his beast to keep quiet, but the big guy seems a little confused. With a sharp glance, he lays out the plan, create a diversion, then go for the kill. The beast gives a confident thumbs up, fully on board with the deadly strategy. He recalls taming this powerhouse early on, his key to surviving this monstrous new world. With a low growl, his companion steps up, ready to draw the enemy's attention. The beast unleashes a string of taunts, speaking a language only monsters understand. His bizarre insults leave the two creatures completely baffled, creating the perfect opening. In a flash of fur and fury, the wolf beast lunges, striking the first target with brutal force. Seizing the moment, the survivor vaults over the chaos, blade ready to strike the other monster. A devastating blow sends one of the creatures flying, clearing the path for the final takedown. With the path cleared, the survivor stands tall over the fallen creatures, ready for what's next. He gives his loyal partner a well-deserved pat, impressed by their flawless teamwork. Now confident in their strength, he declares the supermarket is their next stop, with nothing to stand in their way. As they race across the rooftops, a strange, melodic sound suddenly cuts through the silence. He whips around to find the source of a bizarre sing-song chant echoing through the ruins. His face says it all, pure, unfiltered confusion at the absurdity of the noise. Just when he thought things couldn't get weirder, he facepalms, cursing his rotten luck. His dread is confirmed as he spots two new wolf-like beasts in the distance, making unsettling noises. Even his powerhouse companion senses the danger, immediately snapping to high alert. Leaving his beast behind, he steps forward alone, his footprints marking a solitary path into the unknown. The strange noise wasn't just two beasts, it was a signal for an entire monster army. He screams at his companion to snap out of it and run for their lives. But running isn't an option. He grabs a chunk of rubble and launches it at the horde. His makeshift weapon finds its mark, taking down one of the winged monstrosities. He quickly realizes they're outnumbered. A strategic retreat is their only hope for survival. The streets below are now a writhing sea of claws and teeth completely overrun. Suddenly, a lightning-fast reptilian creature closes the distance in a blur. The creature lets out a vicious roar, ready to strike him down. With a fierce battle cry, he meets the attack head-on, landing a solid blow. Back-to-back with his partner, he prepares for an all-out war against the endless swarm. The wolf beast dives into the fray, trading brutal blows with the enemy horde. A single swipe sends a monster flying, a blur of fur and fury clearing the immediate threat. The survivor shouts a warning, hurling debris to carve a path through the chaos. His companion follows up with a crushing stomp, putting another beast down for good. He screams at his partner to retreat, realizing this is a fight they simply can't win. But the loyal beast refuses to back down, its stubbornness putting its own life on the line. With a defiant roar, the wolf beast intercepts a lethal blow, shielding its master from harm. The survivor watches in horror as his companion is completely swarmed by the relentless pack. Frustration boils over as he realizes his loyal friend is about to be overwhelmed. With no other choice, he launches himself back into the fight, ready to save his partner or die trying. He realizes his partner's sacrifice has created the perfect window for his escape. But the beast's final stand unleashes a shockwave that sends him flying. The force of the blast slams into him with devastating power. He crashes hard into a wall, the impact cracking the solid concrete around him. Battered and broken, he struggles to stay conscious as his vision blurs. A colossal shadow falls over him, the true leader of the Horde finally revealing itself. In the face of this overwhelming power, he understands just how outmatched he truly is. Just as he's about to give up, the phone he salvaged slips from his pocket into the snow. Suddenly, the old device flickers to life, its screen glowing with an otherworldly light. The mysterious screen shatters, unleashing a burst of golden energy into the frozen air. He groans, his eyes slowly fluttering open, not in the frozen wasteland, but somewhere else entirely. With a jolt, he shoots up, the brutal reality of the monster horde replaced by sheer, utter confusion. He stares at his hands, then at a modern phone, realizing this isn't his time anymore. He's standing in front of his old apartment, a place that was destroyed years ago. But something is different. His eyes now burn with the same crimson glow as his fallen companion. The impossible truth hits him. He hasn't just survived, he's been sent back to the past. Elsewhere, his tech-savvy friend is having her own crisis over a failed connection. She's completely locked out, unable to connect to any network, as if the world's signals just vanished. Behind her mask, her frustration mounts as her systems fail one after another. She slams her desk, furious that some mysterious interference is messing with her high-stakes job. An unexpected doorbell cuts through her frustration. A voice on the other side claims to be the internet repairman she just called for. She opens the door, shocked at the impossibly fast response time. But as she looks closer, her initial relief turns into sharp suspicion. It's him, the survivor, standing there with a cheesy grin, boasting about his prompt service. Her mind races, noting he's empty-handed and not even in uniform. The red flags keep piling up. No ID, no work pass, nothing to prove he's legit. She realizes his smile isn't friendly. It's the look of someone with a hidden agenda. Done with the act, she pulls out a can of spray, ready to deal with this obvious scammer. But he effortlessly blocks her attack, calmly revealing he knew her plan all along. He casually reveals he knows her name, Miss Shui Fei Fei, leaving her utterly baffled. With his crimson eyes burning, he demands she look closer and remember him from their shared past. She's positive she's never seen him before, yet a strange sense of familiarity haunts her. Deciding he's wasted enough time, he pulls out a rope, ready to take drastic measures. In the scuffle, some of her priceless tech clatters to the floor, much to her horror. He ignores her completely, frantically searching for an item he knows should be on her desk. Now tied up, she furiously threatens him with her government connections, but her words fall on deaf ears. His search comes to a halt as a sudden, puzzling realization hits him. His intense gaze shifts, prompting her to scream at him to back away immediately. He leans in closer, and her fear turns to pure terror as she screams for help against the intruder. Instead of getting personal, he snatches a hidden item from around her neck. He reveals a high-tech key, noting he found it just in time before she could hide it elsewhere. He admires the device, recognizing it as the work of a master technician. Her shock turns to disbelief as she demands to know how he identified her secret key. With a smug grin, he boasts that he also knows exactly where this little key belongs. He casually reveals a hidden safe behind a painting, leaving her completely stunned by his impossible knowledge. Without hesitation, he inserts the key into the safe's lock with a satisfying click. Green lights flash as the high-security vault unlocks, granting him access to her most valuable secrets. A triumphant smile spreads across his face, confirming his plan is perfectly on schedule. Peering inside, he makes a strange comment about her hidden treasures, much to her furious protest. He pulls out the prize he was searching for, a set of dark gold tarot cards. He notes there's one card missing from the last timeline, a detail that doesn't escape his notice. A chilling memory surfaces. Each time he's reborn, one of these precious cards is consumed. The terrifying realization hits him. His second chances are running out. His moment of dread is cut short as a security drone powers up its weapon. A laser beam narrowly misses him, forcing him to scramble for cover. Behind her back, Shui Fei Fei is secretly activating a hidden control on her watch. She reveals her trump card, a laser-equipped drone, and orders it to take him down. He dodges frantically as she screams at her drone to finish the job. Fueled by rage, she vows to make him pay for defiling her most treasured possessions. She screams for the drone to blast him into oblivion, her face contorted with rage. But he just scoffs, calling her high-tech weapon a fatball, leaving her completely speechless. The drone's attack goes haywire, its laser firing wildly and missing its target completely. In a blur of motion, he yanks her out of the way, dodging the rogue blast just in time. He shields her from the fallout as her own security system smolders in the corner. Spotting a piece of fallen tech, he quickly snatches it from the floor. With perfect aim, he hurls the makeshift projectile straight at the malfunctioning drone. The drone explodes in a brilliant flash, neutralized by his quick thinking. He coolly explains that her own creation, a part of her memories, almost took her out. Stunned by his actions and impossible knowledge, she can only stare, utterly bewildered. He declares the tarot cards are his payment for saving her from her own security system. She's floored. He didn't break in for money or murder, but for a deck of cards. With a grim look, he reveals their true purpose: to survive the coming doomsday. He admits that in his last life, he got the cards too late to unlock their power. His memory flashes back to the sound of gunfire echoing in the apocalyptic night. In the past, he was just a wounded soldier, cornered and out of options. His hiding spot is compromised as enemy scavengers spot him from a distance. A ruthless survivor demands he hand over the tarot cards in exchange for his life. But he knows their promises are empty, recognizing the clothes of their last victim. Wounded and alone, he resigns himself to death, seeing no way out of the trap. He curses his luck, believing the cards chose the wrong master in his past life. His eerie silence unnerves the scavengers, who wonder what he's plotting. In a sudden shift, he plays the coward, offering to surrender the tarot cards to save his life. The scavengers mock his pathetic attempt, sneering that he should have given up sooner. The enemy leader snatches the cards, believing the ultimate power is finally in his grasp. With the prize secured, the scavenger leader decides the survivor is now completely disposable. But the protagonist just smirks, having predicted their treachery all along. He reveals his final gambit. Using the fire cards will cost him his life, but he's taking them with him. The scavenger's smug expression instantly melts into pure, unadulterated panic. His final ace is revealed. They're standing on a massive, highly flammable oil reserve. The scavengers scatter in terror, screaming that he's gone completely insane. A catastrophic explosion lights up the night, sealing his fate in the previous timeline. Back in the present, Shui Fei stares in disbelief, asking if he really died back then.
She realizes the impossible implication. If he died but is here now, it means he's telling the truth.
He confirms her wildest theory with a dead serious look. He reincarnated, but she just thinks he's crazy. She bursts into laughter, calling his reincarnation story the most ridiculous joke she's ever heard. He tries to explain, admitting that he knows how unbelievable it all sounds. But she's not listening, laughing so hard she's doubled over in hysterics. Now on the floor, she looks up at him, still convinced he's just a lunatic. He calmly turns to the window, declaring he doesn't need to prove anything, because it has already begun. He pulls open the blinds, telling her to see the undeniable truth for herself. With a deadly serious gaze, he urges her to witness the proof of his impossible story. Outside, the sky cracks open as a fiery object plummets towards the city. Her laughter dies in her throat as she stares in absolute horror at the unfolding chaos. This isn't a joke, it's the first terrifying scene of Doomsday, just as he predicted. Strange pods rain down from above, forcing panicked citizens to flee for their lives. Amid the screams, the only goal is to reach the underground shelter before it's too late. A massive impact obliterates the street, cutting off a desperate escape route. Trapped by the fiery wreckage, two survivors realize their path is completely blocked. But as the smoke clears, they see something far more terrifying than debris emerging from the haze. The survivors can only stare in horror, wondering what fresh hell has just been unleashed. A monstrous creature erupts from the crater, its arrival announced by the screams of the damned. The beast towers over the street, a harbinger of doom as it begins its destructive rampage. Back in the apartment, he calmly reassures her, knowing exactly which buildings are safe for now. But she can't process his calm, watching in terror as the world outside descends into a bloodbath. He lays out the rules of this new world. Stay quiet, stay inside, and you might just live. She argues back, convinced their only hope is to run and wait for an army that will never come. He bluntly tells her that stepping outside now isn't an escape, it's a death sentence. His point is proven as another grotesque beast claims its first victim on the chaotic streets below. With chilling certainty, he shatters her last hope, revealing there will be no army and no safe zones. He reveals the next stage of the apocalypse, a global freeze that will decimate 80% of all life. He lays out the only two options: hide like an ant or hunt for artifacts to become superhuman. She stares back blankly, completely baffled by the concept of artifact users. He explains it's a new system: defeat monsters, gain experience, and get powerful gear. To prove his point, he pulls out a strange cube, insisting it's the only way she'll survive. Her mind jumps to the worst conclusion, horrified that he's about to eat the bizarre object. With a nervous gulp, he prepares to absorb the artifact's power, whatever the cost. She can only watch, her confusion growing with every passing second. Suddenly, a brilliant golden light erupts from his body, and she asks why he's shining. Even he is caught off guard, staring at his glowing hands as if this wasn't part of the plan. He declares the ceremony to become an artifact user has finally begun. But a sudden surge of unexpected energy tells him something is terribly wrong. The artifact's power erupts, sending him flying across the room in a flash of light. Su Fei can only watch in horror, screaming as the blast consumes him. He realizes this awakening is far more powerful than anything he experienced in his past life. Just then, a knock at the door gives her a false sense of hope for rescue. He immediately shuts her down, knowing that only monsters would come knocking now. The door creaks open, revealing a grotesque shark-like beast on their doorstep. She screams in pure terror as the creature lunges forward, ready to attack. The monster's jaws open wide, aiming to make her its very first meal. Just as the beast attacks, the survivor's body erupts in a powerful, uncontrollable aura. He panics internally. His awakening isn't finished, leaving him completely defenseless. The shark beast lets out a guttural roar, not caring one bit about his power-up problems. With no control over his body, he's sent flying by the monster's brutal first strike. The creature smashes into the wall as Shui Fei asks the obvious question, "Are you fine?" He clutches his broken ribs, sarcastically asking if he looks fine in this situation. The brutal impact leaves him coughing up blood, a grim sign of his internal injuries. Ignoring the pain, he reaches into his pack, ready to pull out a trump card. His eyes burn with crimson fury, refusing to be taken down by this low-level grunt. Meanwhile, Shui Fei makes her move, bravely attacking the beast with a bat while screaming for help. The shark beast swings its razor-sharp claws, ready to finish the job, but the survivor realizes the artifact's power is already protecting him from the worst of the blow. In a flash of cosmic energy, his awakening is complete, and a new power surges through him. Su Fei stares in shock as his once critical injuries completely vanish in a golden glow. The shark beast roars in fury, not understanding how its prey suddenly got a power-up. With his enhanced senses, he instantly pinpoints the monster's only weak spot. He unleashes a devastating punch, his newfound strength smashing directly into the creature. The sheer force of the blow sends the massive beast crashing across the room. He marvels at his new power, 5 times human strength, and declares the real fight has just begun. The monster lets out a furious roar, but he stands his ground, ready for the final showdown. Shu Fei stares in disbelief, questioning how he suddenly became so powerful. A system notification confirms his awakening, granting him a massive boost in strength. A holographic screen materializes before them, a flash of light heralding the new game-like reality. His new stats are displayed for all to see, leaving Shui Fei to wonder if this is some kind of high-tech trick. He explains their world has turned into a real-life video game, with monsters as enemies and the awakened as players. She points out how quickly he recovered from his injuries, connecting it to his new awakened status. He confirms her suspicions, explaining that some people have latent abilities that awaken under the right conditions. He quickly checks on her, but she brushes off her minor bruises from the earlier chaos. He promises to protect her in this dangerous new world, causing her to rethink her initial judgment of him. As a reward for being one of the first to awaken, 2 treasure chests materialize out of thin air. He's shocked to learn he's only the 3rd person to awaken, realizing the first 2 must be absolute monsters. At her urging, he opens the first chest and pulls out a high-class ring with a massive storage capacity. Shui Fei is completely blown away by the impossible technology of the tiny storage device. He cracks open the second chest, a massive grin on his face as he celebrates his incredible luck. A system notification offers him an S-rank skill, and he doesn't hesitate for a second to learn it. He explains that S-rank skills are incredibly rare, giving him the power to tame a beast as a companion. As Doomsday begins, magical power from other dimensions floods their world, charging up artifacts. This energy forges contracts with humans, turning them into awakened users with superhuman abilities. He realizes his new skill is tame, not summon, meaning he can build a real bond with a monster. He pulls up his status screen, checking his stats and preparing for the new world order. Shu Fei questions the limits of his new skill, comparing it to something straight out of a video game. He grins, confessing that he also thought it was just a game in his past life. Her skepticism vanishes as she screams a warning. Another monster is smashing its way inside. Glass shatters everywhere as a massive, armored beast crashes into the room. The beast's claws clamp down on him as Shui Fei can only watch and scream in horror. But she ignores the new threat, yelling at him to stop staring and help her finish the first monster. Her battle cry is met with a blank stare from the downed shark beast, leaving them both in an awkward standoff. She points out the shark beast is stuck to the floor, desperately telling him to find a way to deal with it. In her panic, she loses her footing and tumbles right next to the trapped creature. Completely defenseless, she screams for help as she plummets to the ground. Just as the beast's jaws snap shut, a hand shoves her head down, narrowly avoiding the attack. She looks back in horror, saved at the last possible second from a gruesome fate. He stands over the defeated creature, admiring a new blade that slices through monsters like butter. With a new intensity, he promises to protect her, declaring her his most precious treasure. But his victory is cut short as the armored beast pins him down, a costly moment of carelessness. He realizes his actions have altered the timeline, summoning a threat that wasn't there before. Trapped under the monster's weight, he screams at a horrified Shui Fei to run for cover. She hesitates, but he urges her to escape while he keeps the beast distracted. He tells her not to worry, his body glowing with a strange protective energy. The monster recoils in agony, its claws sizzling against his mysterious burning aura. The golden energy surges through him, a chaotic mix of power and pain. He tries to play it cool, but she's not buying his "I'm fine" act while he's screaming. He roars in frustration, so close to finishing his power-up, but still completely immobilized. The downed shark beast gets up, just as confused as everyone else by the new arrival. He orders her to escape while he plays bait for the two bewildered monsters. Overcome with fear, she reluctantly agrees, telling him to stay alive. She promises to return for him, but he screams at her to stay away and save herself. A door slams shut, sealing his fate with the two terrifying creatures. Despite the agony, he finds comfort knowing that at least Fei is safe. He realizes he might actually die again, clutching the tarot card that holds his last chance at life. He grits his teeth, knowing that if his awakening fails, this is his final death. Meanwhile, Fei complains about every single bruise she got during her escape. She's made it back to her secret high-tech workshop, a messy haven of gadgets. Wasting no time, she fires up her equipment, determined to build a rescue plan. She reluctantly uses a priceless crystal, grumbling about the cost of saving his life. With her focus locked in, the progress bar on her secret project jumps forward. Back in the apartment, the two monsters are closing in for the final blow. His awakening is agonizingly close to completion, but time is running out. He clutches the tarot cards, realizing that if he fails now, there are no more second chances. The armored beast looms over him, its chilling voice declaring that all hope is lost. His awakening completes, but even with boosted stats, he's sure he's about to become monster food. But just as the beast attacks, Fei returns with a vengeance, screaming for its demise. He stares in utter shock, saved from certain death at the very last second. She's not just a damsel in distress, she's crafted him a powerful new sword. Fei just scoffs, boasting that this little toy is nothing compared to what she can really build. With the monsters handled, she declares they have more important things to do. But he's completely sidetracked, insisting his awesome new sword needs an equally awesome name. The armored beast is finally taken down in a brutal, decisive blow. He snaps back to reality, pulling her behind him and promising to keep her safe. With a look of pure determination, he vows that no monster will ever lay a claw on her again. Her initial fear turns to admiration as she realizes he might actually be reliable. His thoughts drift back to his fallen companion, the original powerhouse wolf beast. He remembers their perfect synergy, a deadly dance of man and monster against the world. But his focus snaps back to the present, where two injured wolf beasts are sizing him up. He smirks, thinking the wounded creatures will be an easy cleanup job. His confidence shatters as the two beasts suddenly fuse into a single terrifying entity. Just when he thought it couldn't get worse, 3 more monsters emerge from the shadows. Wasting no time, he unleashes a lightning-fast strike, aiming to thin the herd. His new blade sings through the air, landing a devastating blow on the first target. With his awakened power surging, he declares that even against these odds, he's got this. But his confidence fades as the fused beast's wounds begin to magically heal. He realizes it's a healer, a support unit that will turn this into a battle of attrition he can't win. Fei shouts the obvious, agreeing they need to take out the healer before it becomes a problem. But a brilliant, reckless idea forms in his mind. Why kill it when he can tame it? With a new target in mind, he leaps forward, ready to claim his new companion. He groans in frustration as Fei charges in recklessly, complicating his perfect plan. He unleashes a powerful strike, trying to create an opening in the chaos. A sudden sense of dread makes him glance back, realizing something has gone horribly wrong. Instead of helping, Fei has jumped onto the beast's back, threatening to bite it to death. The massive wolf beast thrashes wildly, completely baffled by its new, very angry backpack. He collapses from exhaustion, completely at the mercy of the fused monster. His wounds take their toll, and he realizes he's losing too much blood to keep fighting. The beast snatches Fei, who can only cry out for help as she's lifted into the air. Pushing past the pain, he roars a challenge, demanding the monster face him instead. The beast accepts his offer, tossing Fei Fei aside to deal with the bigger threat. In a blur of motion, the monster closes the distance, ready to land a finishing blow. A brutal blow lands, piercing his defenses and seemingly sealing his fate. But a smirk spreads across his face. He's lured the beast right where he wants it. With the monster in range, he places a hand on its head, preparing to unleash his trump card. A brilliant light erupts as he activates his ultimate skill. Purify Tame. The beast stands motionless as the taming energy flows, its fury suddenly gone. But his confidence wavers as he wonders if his ultimate skill has completely failed. Fei Fei screams at him to escape, ready to sacrifice herself to give him a chance. Ignoring her pleas, he glares at the monster, daring it to finish the fight. In a shocking twist, the massive beast bows its head in complete submission. Both he and Fei Fei are left speechless, staring at their unlikely new ally. With the battle over, the wrecked apartment stands as a testament to their brutal fight. A system window pops up, revealing the impressive stats of his new healer companion. Wasting no time, he orders his new doggy to patch up Fei Fei first. She insists he heal his own wounds, but he coolly explains his awakened body can handle it. Still reeling, she demands to know how he knows her name, pointing out she doesn't even know his. He finally drops his name, Kong Jae, and explains everything. The tarot card revival, their past life, and her role as a master scientist. After dropping that bombshell, a loud growl from his stomach brings them crashing back to reality. She lightens the mood by joking about a burger delivery, but he quips that monsters are probably running the service now. After raiding the fridge, she's blissfully full, but he brings her back down to earth. They need to find more food fast. Her eyes light up as she spots a mall across a broken bridge, declaring it their best bet for a major food score. He declares he'll go alone to gather resources, prompting her to angrily ask if he's abandoning her. He gently explains the mission is too dangerous for her, promising the building is safe and earning her reluctant trust. With a determined salute, he promises he'll be back, leaving no doubt about his intention to protect her. 3 days later, he marches through a brutal snowstorm in a new cloak, his tamed wolf beast shadowing his every step. He pulls his hood tight, knowing the real doomsday fight has only just begun. With his beastly partner in tow, he steps into a ruined building, ready for action. He scans the ransacked room, noting that every single scrap is now a priceless treasure. His sharp eyes immediately spot a familiar object on a dusty desk, a smartphone. A grim memory surfaces. This very phone led to his demise in the last timeline. His train of thought is shattered by a desperate scream for help from deeper inside. Peeking around a corner, he finds a group of survivors cornered by 2 grotesque monsters. He quickly deduces they were ambushed and decides a sneak attack is their only hope. With a sharp command, he unleashes his loyal wolf beast to kick off the fight. His companion crashes into the enemy with brutal force as he prepares to land the finishing blow. With a single, clean strike, he ends the monster, his crimson eyes fixed on the next challenge. He gives the survivors a stark warning: grab food, hide in the basement, and stay silent to live. The terrified group nods frantically, understanding this is their only chance at survival. Knowing the commotion attracted unwanted attention, he decides to head upstairs, one powerless step at a time. His ascent is cut short by desperate screams echoing from the floors above. A shadow drops from the ceiling, and he realizes he's walked right into an ambush. His eyes widen in shock as the mysterious attacker closes in with blinding speed. Instead of a monster, a woman in white collides with him, sending them both tumbling to the ground. In the chaos of the fall, his hand lands in a very compromising position. They lock eyes, both equally stunned and flustered by the incredibly awkward introduction. His accidental discovery leaves him utterly speechless. She scrambles back, shocked to realize her ambusher is actually human. He nurses a fresh handprint on his face, wondering why she slapped him without looking first. She screams a warning about the beast behind him, but he's more worried about her attracting a crowd. Realizing they can't stay here, he grabs the panicked woman and decides they need to find cover. He spots a storeroom up ahead, declaring it their best shot at temporary safety. Peeking through the blinds, he confirms his worst fears. The place is crawling with monsters. The view outside reveals a grisly feast, proving they made the right call to hide. He turns back with a grim expression, knowing they're trapped for now. The horrifying scene outside leaves the woman paralyzed with fear, tears welling in her eyes. He clamps a hand over her mouth, warning her that one scream will make her monster food. But as he glares, a sudden realization stops him cold. His tarot card vibrates, sensing a massive power signature coming from the terrified girl. She looks up with wide, innocent eyes, asking if he's one of the good guys. Flustered, he quickly assures her he's the best guy she could hope to find right now. Her relief is cut short as she spots his beastly partner, but he calmly explains the big guy is just his pet. Convinced he's trustworthy, she offers him a small piece of paper as a reward. He reads the note, which contains a name, Lin Mushui, and an address for her safe return. She explains it's her get-home safe card, asking if he'll be her designated hero. Touched by her innocence, he agrees to help, but tells her she's sticking with him until it's safe. Overjoyed by his promise, she celebrates her new hero with a triumphant cheer. Realizing they skipped introductions, she asks for his name, and he finally reveals he's Kong Jae. She happily introduces herself as Lin Xiaolei, asking him to call her Xiaolei like her sister does. Kongji quickly gets serious, declaring the front door a death trap and insisting they find another way out. A sudden system notification startles him, announcing a brand new citywide mission. The mission is clear: evacuate 3 survivors to a safe zone for a gold treasure box, but with a deadly penalty for failure. He weighs the risks, realizing that escorting helpless citizens is a high-stakes gamble he can't afford to lose. A brilliant strategy forms: he'll only escort survivors with the potential to awaken, turning a liability into an asset. Just as he's planning, Xiaolei timidly interrupts with a personal request. With tears in her eyes, she begs him to save her best friend, Tuan Tuan, who is lost somewhere in the chaos. He asks for her friend's last known location, and she explains they were separated during a game of hide-and-seek. A grim look crosses his face as he considers the grim reality of her friend's situation. But Xiaolei shuts down his doubts, insisting her friend is tough enough to survive. Moved by her faith, he agrees to help, planning a route to avoid the main monster horde. With a new plan in mind, he unsheathes his blade, ready to carve his own path. He smashes through a wall, deciding that if there's no door, he'll just make one. Kongja reveals their new escape route, a shortcut to bypass the monster-infested hallway. He orders her to stay close and silent as they venture into the unknown. They navigate the dark, ruined library, surrounded by the lurking shadows of more creatures. He realizes the lower levels are a lost cause, forcing them to push upward into even greater danger. Kongja remarks on their good fortune, having only faced a few monsters on their way up. But his relief is cut short as Xiaolei gags, overwhelmed by a disgusting smell from ahead. His eyes follow the stench to a dark, ominous stain splattered across the ceiling. Peeking around the corner, his expression turns grim as he investigates the source. His battle-hardened composure cracks, his eyes wide with shock at the scene before him. They've stumbled upon a massacre, a grim tableau of fallen survivors and monstrous carnage. He realizes with dawning dread that this wasn't a random attack, but something far more sinister. Snapping into action, he orders his beast to stand guard while telling a terrified Xiaolei to stay close. Through a doorway, he spots the source of the earlier screams, another group of survivors huddled in fear. The people inside are completely broken, their faces etched with despair and hopelessness. Kongji tries to comfort one of the survivors, but the man is completely lost to despair. He grimly notes that with so many monsters, finding anyone alive is becoming a rare thing. But his expression hardens as he senses something is very wrong with this picture. In another room, a different group is living it up, completely indifferent to the chaos outside. A woman in red sizes him up, noting he's clearly more than just another lost soul. Her companion agrees, identifying Kongja as an awakened user, but dismisses him as weak. The group's leader lays down an ultimatum: hand over his sword for protection or face the consequences. Kongja quickly assesses the threat, realizing he's severely outleveled by these thugs. He ignores their demands, instead asking a bizarre question about their kill count over the years. The scavenger scoffs at the strange inquiry before threatening him, confirming Kongja's suspicions. Kongji's eyes narrow with a cold promise. He's going to destroy them. He realizes his tarot card is slowing his leveling, a dangerous disadvantage in this new world. His thoughts are interrupted by a piercing scream from the woman in red. She's just spotted his wolf beast, a terrifying sight for the unprepared. The group's false sense of security shatters as they demand answers from their leader. Kongji casually dismisses their panic, introducing his monstrous companion as a simple pet. The scavenger leaders exchange a silent, calculating glance, sizing up their new guest. The boss quickly deduces Kongji is weak, but his powerful beast is the real prize. His partner grins with greed, already plotting how to steal the rare creature for himself. The leader switches tactics, playing nice and offering a drink to lower Kongji's guard. The scavenger boss tries to isolate Kongji, suggesting a private chat with a sinister grin. His female companion panics, reminding him of a promise he clearly has no intention of keeping. He callously shoves her to the ground, revealing just how disposable she is to him. Disgusted by the display, Kongja tells the woman to get out, having no patience for their drama. The leader makes a final twisted offer, trade Xiaolei for the other woman and walk away. Kongji ignores the disgusting proposal, pulling Xiaolei behind him in a protective stance. Done with talking, the scavenger lunges forward, bringing his weapon down in a furious arc. Kongja effortlessly parries the blow, his blade meeting the attack with a brilliant flash of light. The scavenger is thrown off balance by the powerful block, completely outmatched by Kongjae's skill. With chilling accuracy, Kongja breaks down his opponent's entire fighting style, exposing its fatal flaw. The scavenger leader admits Kongjae has skill, but smugly asks if he can take on 2 opponents at once. From the shadows, the scavenger's lanky partner prepares to make his move. Kongja orders his beast to act as Xiaolei's personal bodyguard, freeing him up for the real fight. He launches himself forward, declaring there's no negotiating with human trash. The scavenger leader meets the charge head-on, his axe glowing with power. Their weapons collide with explosive force, but Kongjae's blade easily overpowers the brute. Stunned by the speed, the thug can't believe a level 2 user is this powerful. Kongji unleashes a shadowy blur of an attack, moving faster than the eye can see. He recognizes the technique as an assassin's skill, realizing he's facing more than just a brawler. The second scavenger leaps from the darkness, a glowing green dagger aimed for a fatal strike. Kongja's eyes widen as he senses the pincer attack from behind. The second scavenger lunges with a poisoned dagger, aiming for a critical hit. But the blade strikes empty air as Kongji dodges at the last possible second. The scavenger's eyes widen in disbelief at his target's impossible reflexes. Kongja reappears in a flash, leaving his attacker completely bewildered. Both thugs are stunned, unable to comprehend his blinding speed. He scoffs at their pathetic attempt, dismissing them as nothing more than human garbage. The leader roars in fury, ordering his partner to press the attack without mercy. The battle becomes a chaotic blur of light and steel, too fast for the onlookers to track. A survivor admits that despite being evil, the 2 scavenger brothers are undeniably powerful. But Kongjae's eyes burn with cold fury, easily deflecting their coordinated assault. The scavenger leader grits his teeth, sweat pouring down his face as he struggles against the unexpected power. Kongji presses his advantage, his blade a blur as he moves in for another strike. He meets the brute's glowing axe head-on, the force of the parry sending sparks flying. The thug is stunned, realizing the impact has left his hands numb and his grip failing. In a flash, Kongja breaks their pincer attack, sending both scavengers reeling. The lanky partner is sent flying by a brutal kick, his attack completely neutralized. Kongja coolly watches his opponent fall, already anticipating the next move. The scavenger leader panics, realizing that even with powerful skills, he can't touch someone this fast. Kongji stands unscathed, knowing he's already won as his enemies realize they're outclassed and bleeding out. He smirks, realizing these amateurs have high levels but 0 actual combat experience. The scavenger leader starts to panic, admitting that another direct hit from Kongjae will be their last. His partner agrees, frantically suggesting they need a new plan before they're completely wiped out. Kongja narrows his eyes, sensing a desperate and likely dirty change in their strategy. In a sudden move, the lanky scavenger dashes past him, completely ignoring the ongoing fight. He realizes their new target isn't him, but the defenseless woman they'd discarded earlier. Kongja's eyes widen in alarm as he sees the cowardly attack unfold. But the leader blocks his path, grinning as he keeps Kongjae locked in their deadly dance. The woman screams as the scavenger's blade descends, a cheap shot to distract the real threat. But a monstrous claw intercepts the blow, as his loyal beast proves to be the ultimate bodyguard. The wolf beast roars, its crimson eyes promising a world of hurt for its new target. The scavenger can't believe his eyes, shocked by the creature's impossible speed. He barely holds the monster at bay, his makeshift weapon cracking under the immense pressure. Realizing they're losing on both fronts, he screams for a change in tactics. Grab the girl. The scavenger leader furiously orders the other survivors to stop spectating and join the fight. But the crowd hesitates, secretly hoping the newcomer puts an end to the brothers' reign. Desperate, the leader offers a twisted reward: capture the girl and get medical treatment. Meanwhile, the woman in red plots her own move, deciding Kongja is a prize worth taking. She arms herself, convinced she knows exactly how to get what she wants from any man. Motivated by the promise of survival, the other survivors finally surge forward to attack. Kongji's head whips around, realizing the mob of survivors is now targeting Xiaolei. Xiaolei shrinks back in terror as the desperate crowd closes in on her. The woman in red creates a diversion, tossing a small box to the ground to sow chaos. But her plan backfires as she trips and screams, tumbling into the desperate mob. A brutish survivor catches her, gloating about his prize while she silently curses her luck. His celebration is cut short by a sharp piece of glass, leaving him howling in agony. Seizing the moment, the woman in red grabs Xiaolei, blaming the girl for her predicament. She drags the terrified girl away from the fight, her intentions clearly sinister. Xiaolei desperately calls out to the scavenger leader, pleading for him to save her. But the woman just sneers, revealing her plan to eliminate the competition and claim Kong Zhe for herself. The brutish survivor yanks the woman in red back, deciding she's his now. He cackles madly, declaring that he'll be the one to capture the girl, not anyone else. But the woman in red snarls from the floor, insisting she's the only one who deserves to survive. Kongji realizes he's out of time and decides to end this fight by activating his sword aura. He channels his magic into the blade, knowing a powered-up strike is the only way to finish this fast. With his weapon glowing, he launches himself at the two scavengers, ready to end their reign. The leader is stunned by his opponent's new power, realizing his own life points are about to hit 0. Pure terror fills his eyes as he understands that running is his only chance to live. But he's horrified to see Kong Jae's feet glowing, realizing his magic grants him impossible speed. In a flash of blue light, Kong Jae appears behind him, poised for the final decisive strike. A single clean strike from his glowing blade leaves the scavenger leader screaming on the floor. The thug's tough guy act vanishes, replaced by pathetic pleas for mercy. With the second scavenger handled by his beast, Kong Jae turns to comfort a shaken Xiaolei. The defeated leader desperately offers everything he has, but Kong Jae isn't interested in his trash. A final silent answer from Kong Jae's blade ends the scavenger's reign of terror. He coldly tells the fallen thug that the only thing he wants is for him to go to the afterlife. Now it's the other brutish survivor's turn to grovel, promising Kong Jae anything he wants. Kong Jae just scoffs, telling the man to let him know when he's done barking. In a final, desperate gamble, the survivor offers up a legendary fantasy scroll. Kong Jae's eyes light up. He knows this rare item is the key to entering a secret trial. The survivor offers the scroll in a desperate plea for his life, but Kong Jae isn't making any promises. A system window reveals the item is a high-level, unidentified key to a mysterious magic realm. Kong Jae notes the catch. The scroll is useless until he finds a rare appraiser to unlock its power. But the survivor is already plotting his revenge, vowing to reclaim everything once he's free. Kong Jae, however, has already read his intentions, deciding to eliminate any future threats. The thug's face twists in horror as he realizes his desperate gamble has completely failed. With the immediate danger handled, Kong Jae calmly reassures a shaken Xiaolei that she's safe now. He then turns to the crowd of onlookers, his cold gaze letting them know they're not off the hook. The survivors whisper in terror, realizing the man who just saved them might be their executioner. Kong Jae declares he's only looking for allies, leaving the rest to fend for themselves in this brutal new world. He stands before the survivors, a lone figure searching for a glimmer of hope in the crowd. But after a quick scan, he grimly concludes that sadly, there is no one worthy. The woman in red steps forward, confidently asking him to consider her qualifications. He acknowledges her potential and strong magic, but his tone suggests a serious problem. She eagerly presses for an answer, hinting she's willing to do whatever it takes to join him. His eyes flash with red fury as he reminds her she tried to hurt Xiaolei, a debt that must be settled. Leaning in close, he asks if she really thought he'd just forget what she tried to do. She desperately bargains, insisting her potential is more valuable than the girl's. But he declares that her power is meaningless when she has such a rotten heart. With a cold finality, he delivers his chilling judgment on her character. Just as he's about to deliver his judgment, Xiaolei's terrified plea snaps him out of his rage. Her innocent voice cuts through his battle lust, forcing him to reconsider his actions. He looks at the cowering woman, realizing he almost crossed a line he swore he never would. Kong Jae reminds himself that even in this brutal world, he can't become the monster he's fighting. He assures the woman in red that he has no intention of harming ordinary people, much to her relief. Turning back to Xiaolei, he apologizes for scaring her, but she just wants to find her friend. He agrees to help, deciding to gear up first before they venture back into the dangerous city. While looting, he finds a Murloc dagger with a special bonus against fish-type monsters. He realizes these specialized weapons are the world's way of pushing survivors to hunt specific creatures. With their supplies gathered, he decides their next move is to head for the roof. They emerge onto the snow-covered roof, stepping into a frozen, desolate wasteland. Xiaolei immediately starts shivering, completely unprepared for the brutal, biting cold. He offers her a warm coat, and her grateful smile instantly brightens the grim scene. Their path forward is a broken bridge, with a massive 5.6-meter gap being the only way across. Xiaolei freezes in terror at the edge, convinced the terrifying jump is impossible. He gives her a simple choice, jump or be left behind, and her survival instinct kicks in. Just as they're about to leave, the woman in red runs out, desperately begging to be saved. Kongja offers her a simple deal: prove her worth by making the jump, and she can come along. She stares at the chasm in horror, convinced that such a leap is completely impossible. He coldly explains that fear is her only obstacle, and without courage, she's already doomed. He lays down the rules for their impossible jump: hold on tight or they both go down. Finding her courage, Xiaolei promises she won't be a liability. With a determined roar, Kongju prepares to activate his speed-boosting skill. A brilliant blue aura erupts from his feet, charging them with magical energy. They launch from the rooftop, a human rocket clearing the massive chasm with ease. Soaring through the frozen air, they leave the broken bridge far behind. As they fly, a dark winged creature swoops past them in the blizzard. Clinging to his back, Xiaolei silently vows that her family will survive this apocalypse together. A mysterious golden light flares from her, vaporizing the creature that got too close. They touch down perfectly on the other side, their daring escape a complete success. He reassures a relieved Xiaolei that they've landed safely after their death-defying leap. He waves back to the other rooftop, telling the woman in red to wait since she can't make the jump. Venturing into the dark building, he warns Xiaolei to stay close and make no sound. A sudden noise puts him on high alert, demanding the hidden figure reveal themselves. A mysterious voice echoes from the shadows, demanding to know their purpose. But Xiaolei's face lights up with recognition. It's her friend, Tuan Tuan. The voice declares a brutal punishment for anyone who dares to harm their family. Kongja dives for cover, realizing they're being pelted with anesthetic needles. Their attacker is revealed, a giant rabbit in a maid outfit, impressed by his dodging skills. He turns to Xiaolei in utter disbelief, asking if her best friend is actually a rabbit. The rabbit furiously corrects him, declaring its name is Devil Lord Robert. Kongja remains completely unfazed, simply asking where its master is. Robert the rabbit is outraged, yelling that his master isn't someone you can just meet on a whim. But a new voice interrupts, granting Kongja permission to see her true form as a reward. The master is revealed, a young girl on a throne who smugly asks if he knows who she is. He ignores her act, identifying her as Tuan Tuan and deducing she's a summoner controlling the puppet. She launches into a dramatic backstory, claiming to be a reincarnated royal ghost named Margaret. Kongji can only cringe internally, thinking she's watched way too much anime. He asks Xiaolei about her friend's closed eye, who explains it's too dangerous to open. Tuan Tuan grins, boasting that her right eye is a deadly weapon and all who see it perish. He completely dismisses her story, telling her she's been watching way too much anime. Challenging his disbelief, she smugly asks if he'd like a demonstration of her deadly eye. Kongja sarcastically plays along, claiming it's his life's dream to witness her legendary power. Taking the bait, she dramatically calls upon her ancestors to unleash her golden pupil. Xiaolei panics, screaming at Kongja to look away before the dangerous power is unleashed. With a flash of light, she reveals her golden eye, promising him an eternity of suffering. For a second, he's actually shocked, wondering if her wild story might actually be true. But his surprise quickly turns to deadpan disappointment as he concludes it's just a contact lens. She suddenly clutches her eye, screaming that its immense power is too strong to control. In a dramatic twist, she points at Kongja, accusing him of being her mortal enemy, the Black Dragon. Kongja sighs, completely over her dramatic act and asking if the little ghost has had enough. Outraged by his disbelief, she vows to teach him a lesson he'll never forget. A system notification suddenly asks if he wants to select her for his mission, leaving him utterly confused. He questions the system's logic. She's clearly awakened, but somehow still qualifies for the task. Xiaolei rushes forward to greet her friend, but Tuan Tuan screams for her to stay away. With glowing eyes, she warns that she's in battle mode and can't control her power. Xiaolei desperately tries to stop the fight, insisting that Kongja is a friend. Tuan Tuan ignores her pleas, declaring this is a fated battle as her power level explodes to 10. Kongji is stunned by the sudden power surge, wondering how she leveled up so fast. She unleashes a massive fireball, forcing Kongja to dodge the surprise attack. Kongja easily dodges the attack, questioning why her powerful flames are so slow. She unleashes a barrage of blue fireballs, promising to turn him into nothing but ash. He effortlessly sidesteps the projectiles, which pop harmlessly against the wall. Realizing they're just soap bubbles, he decides to test how much damage they can actually do. Tuan Tuan cackles as he's engulfed in the harmless attack, thinking she's finally won, but he's just surrounded by bubbles, finally understanding her little trick. Unfazed, he declares her flashy attack is completely useless for anything but scaring people. She just laughs, boasting that he's fallen right into her real trap. A glowing magic circle suddenly materializes right under his feet. Kongja's eyes widen as he realizes he's been completely outplayed. Tuan smirks, declaring he's exactly where she wants him with no chance of escape. She performs a series of hand signs, chanting an incantation to activate her formation. Kongja is completely baffled by her mix of fantasy tropes, now including ninjutsu. He realizes he's wasting precious time and needs to find a real partner for his mission. Losing his patience, Kongja roars at her, demanding to know if she's had enough. She smugly warns him to watch his feet, revealing he's standing on her Hell's Array. The intricate magic circle beneath him erupts with a brilliant, ominous purple light. He stares down in disbelief, questioning if this is actually a real functioning mystic array. She gloats that he's already been infected with a deadly poison and is doomed to a slow demise. With a sinister grin, she raises her weapon, ready to finish off her mortal enemy, the Black Dragon. Kongja raises his blade, wondering if this kid's dramatic act has any real bite. She leaps into the air for a dramatic finishing move, ready to bring down the pain. But her grand attack ends with a clumsy faceplant, leaving Kongja completely stunned. He admits with a deadpan stare that for a split second, her ridiculous act actually had him worried. Deciding he's had enough of this nonsense, he turns to leave, declaring the show is over. But his departure triggers a hidden tripwire, setting a new, more serious trap in motion. A small metal ball completes a circuit, activating a far deadlier mechanism than soap bubbles. A volley of sharp metal spikes suddenly erupts from the floor, aimed right at him. His eyes widen in panic as he realizes he's completely cornered with no time to dodge. A spike impales him as he screams in agony, wondering how his life could end in such an unlucky way. His world goes dark, but instead of death, he's left completely bewildered. He finds himself standing in a familiar hallway, realizing he's somehow back from the dead. Kongji questions reality itself. Cheating death once is a miracle, but twice is a pattern. A glance at his watch reveals the horrifying truth. He's back at the beginning, with only 1 minute until doomsday. He sees Fei Fei complaining about a late delivery, a scene he remembers all too well. She turns to him with an angry glare, mistaking him for the delivery guy she was just cursing out. But the real delivery boy is at the door, as Kongja steps into the room with a new, urgent purpose. He feels a powerful pull from his tarot card, knowing he has seconds to retrieve it before everything goes sideways. Ignoring everyone, he walks straight to a painting and reveals a hidden safe, just as he remembers. Fei Fei is stunned, demanding to know how a total stranger knows all of her secrets. With seconds to spare, he inputs the code, declaring that time is up. He retrieves the glowing tarot cards, feeling a familiar thrill at holding his favorite toys again. But he quickly notices a problem. One of the Hourglass Revival cards is missing. A grim realization dawns on him. He only has 3 more chances to cheat death. He calmly tells a bat-wielding Fei Fei to drop her weapon, knowing it's completely useless against him. She demands to know how he knows her secrets and why he feels so strangely familiar. Ignoring her questions, he absorbs the power of a tarot card in a flash of golden light. He turns to her with a knowing smile, simply stating that they do in fact know each other. A brilliant aura erupts from his body, leaving the scientist completely baffled by the impossible sight. Just as before, the world outside begins to crumble as the first monster roars to life. The shark beast crashes the party, leaving Fei Fei speechless with terror. But Kongja just smirks, announcing that the end of the world is right on schedule. Fei Fei can only scream, completely paralyzed by the horrifying sight. The monster ignores the glowing hero and lunges straight for the terrified scientist. But in a shocking twist, Kongja is the one caught in the beast's jaws, reliving his first death. He furiously demands the system skip this cutscene, refusing to die the same way twice. A system notification pops up, announcing an unexpected update and a brand new reputation feature. He realizes this update is 3 months early, wondering if his rebirth has broken the timeline. Suddenly, the delivery boy steps up, bravely facing the monster with nothing but a small knife. His courage isn't enough as the beast snatches him, playing out Kongja's original gruesome fate. Kongja smirks, realizing that awakening ahead of schedule is a huge advantage. A system window reveals his stats, already ranking him an incredible 3rd in the world. His rewards are revealed: a storage ring and a holy persuasion skill, a solid starting package. He notes his stats are unchanged, but now he gets the crucial choice of picking his class. To his shock, the ultra-rare wizard class is an option, a path only the strongest walked in his past life. He dives into the class description, learning that wizards command all 7 elements with godlike power. Blown away by its potential, he eagerly checks out the available skills for his new class. The first skill is a basic 1-star water wave, but it comes with a handy magic sensing ability. His eyes lock onto a 10-star skill, Light Distortion, which offers the incredible power of invisibility. He weighs his options, realizing one skill restores mana, while the other offers a perfect escape. He figures getting sucked into a tarot card was a small price to pay for these game-changing skills. But a hidden note reveals a nasty debuff. He's now officially unlucky and easier to kill. He grimaces, realizing this unlucky effect explains his ridiculous death in the last timeline. Fei bombards him with questions about time travel, but he cuts her off with a sharp command. His serious tone instantly silences her, leaving the brilliant scientist momentarily stunned. He lays out the deal: build him a weapon with her secret Z alloy if she wants to survive. Intrigued by his knowledge, she agrees, but he warns her they're about to have company. A system notification announces that Tuan has officially become the second awakened user in the city. Elsewhere, the dramatic girl cackles, demanding the earthling worms worship their new ghost queen. Kongji just smirks, unimpressed that the arrogant little Chuni was the second to awaken. Fei's eyes widen as she recognizes the voice from the citywide announcement. Kongja whips around, shocked that she might know the city's second awakened user. She drops another bombshell. The dramatic Chuni is actually her sister. He finally understands Tuan's bizarre behavior, remembering the trouble she caused him in his last life. After a quick defense of her sister, Fei hands over his newly forged, custom-made sword. He marvels at the blade's power, realizing his rebirth has boosted its stats significantly. Their moment is shattered as a monster bursts in, sending Fei scrambling for safety behind him. But in the chaos, Kongja vanishes, leaving her to face the threat alone. A shadowy beast with glowing red eyes lunges, ready to tear her apart. In a flash, 2 of the monsters are already down, leaving the last one stunned by the unseen attack. The last monster roars in confusion, unable to find its invisible attacker. Kongji reappears with a glowing hand, delivering a holy spirit of persuasion to its face. He casually remarks on his light skill's effectiveness as the beast is instantly pacified. Fei is completely losing her mind, unable to comprehend his impossible vanishing act. He just smirks, teasing her that his power is a one-of-a-kind world exclusive. A few hours later, Fei begs him to save her sister Tuan from the chaos. As they travel, he grumbles that his new unlucky curse is already making him clumsy. A sudden noise from inside a dark building immediately puts him on high alert. He deduces the commotion is on the 2nd floor and decides a stealthy approach is best. Peeking inside, he finds a group of monsters and curiously notes their luck at still being alive. His eyes narrow as he spots something completely unexpected in the chaos. Through a gap, he sees a woman glowing with golden light in the middle of her awakening. He's stunned by her incredible calm, wondering how she can face monsters without a single scream. Deciding he has to save her, he orders his beast to draw the monster's attention. With a single sharp command, he unleashes his loyal companion. The wolf beast charges forward, a blur of pure, untamed fury. The monsters are immediately distracted, turning to face this new aggressive threat. Arha crashes into the enemy line, ready to create an opening for his master. With a brutal swipe of its claws, the beast sends one of the creatures flying. The other monsters are stunned by the sudden and ferocious counterattack. While the monsters are distracted, Kong Jae lands a devastating blow from the shadows. He smirks, realizing his new invisibility skill is the perfect tool for a surprise party. Meanwhile, his loyal beast sinks its teeth into another creature, proving its worth. Kongja cheers on his partner, impressed by their perfect teamwork. He taunts the last standing monster, enjoying its utter confusion. The creature panics, surrounded by fallen allies and an enemy it can't even see. But Kongja realizes his powerful stealth magic is a massive drain on his mana. Just as his power flickers, a monster spots him and lunges for a surprise attack. He dodges and counters with a swift slash, proving he's just as deadly when visible. Urha finishes the job, making sure no monster is left standing. He clutches his wounded hand, realizing these monsters are on a whole other level. The woman's awakening completes, but he knows she's a second too late. A quick scan confirms his fears. Her health is at 0, and she's beyond conventional healing. She weakly reaches for him, her last ounce of strength spent on a desperate plea. He's stunned by her sheer willpower, holding on to life when she should already be gone. As he helps her up, he's struck by a powerful sense of déjà vu. A memory flashes. It's Sume-kin, the legendary queen of the spear from his past life. He remembers her as the hero who once saved him from certain doom. Now the future legend is dying right after awakening, and he fears it's his fault. Refusing to let her die, he prepares a risky spell, knowing it's her only chance. He realizes his holy persuasion skill is the perfect loophole to save her life. By making her his subordinate, he can grant her the 100 life points she needs to survive. With no other choice, he unleashes the skill in a brilliant flash of golden light. As the light fades, he nervously asks if she's okay and able to speak. She looks up with a dazed expression, obediently addressing him as her new master. Overjoyed that his gamble paid off, he immediately asks to see her stats panel. A system window reveals her identity, Su Mei-kin, the Holy Spear Queen, a hidden class user. He's stunned by her incredible stats, realizing she's a powerhouse right from the start. To top it off, she's looted a god-tier necklace with 4 powerful attributes. Deciding the incredible item is rightfully hers, he graciously places it around her neck. The necklace settles into place, but Kong Je seems to be admiring more than just the jewelry. He gets a mischievous glint in his eye, wondering about the perks of being her new master. But his new subordinate immediately shuts him down with a fiery threat, reminding him who's really in charge. Suddenly, she's thrown into a fighting stance against her will, completely baffled by her body's betrayal. Kongju explains that his life-saving skill came with a very convenient side effect: total control. Outraged, she demands he reverse the spell, refusing to be anyone's puppet. He sheepishly admits the only way to break the bond is for him to die, a condition he's not eager to meet. Horrified by the revelation, she declares she'd rather face death than be under his command. He quickly backpedals, insisting he had no choice and that saving her was his only goal. She reluctantly accepts her fate, realizing that for now, her savior is also her new boss. She agrees to the arrangement, but lays down 3 non-negotiable demands for her cooperation. Intrigued, Kongja tells her to lay out her terms, and he'll consider them. Her first rule is simple. He can't force her to do anything against her will, which he easily accepts. Next, she declares that all loot she acquires is hers alone and he's not to touch it. He scoffs at the idea, promising he has no intention of robbing her and might even share his own gear. For her final point, she demands to be treated as an equal, not a subordinate. Kongja winks, dismissing her worries before announcing it's his turn to set the rules. Flustered, she demands to know what else he could possibly want from her. He turns away, offering to explain the new state of the world so she's no longer in the dark. After hearing the truth, she's left speechless, struggling to accept their new apocalyptic reality. Kongji hands her a spear, telling her it's time to face the new reality. He then bestows upon her the legendary title of the Holy Spear Queen. She immediately fires back, annoyed that he's already breaking their no orders rule. But after a few practice swings, she admits the title has a nice ring to it and accepts. With a grin, she declares the weapon is a perfect fit, ready for some action. Kongji is already on the move, expecting his new partner to keep up. She scrambles to follow, demanding to know their next destination. He reveals they're heading to the 3rd floor to find someone important. But the 3rd floor is a monster-infested war zone, crawling with deadly creatures. Kongji formulates a plan. Take out the stragglers for XP and steer clear of the big threats. But Sumeikin charges past him, eagerly claiming all the monsters for herself. Kongji recalls her legendary courage, but remembers she used to have the strength to match it. He ignores her battle cry and orders his beast to sniff out any human survivors. They find themselves in a children's clothing section, with a monster lurking near the dressing rooms. Believing his target is near, Kongji calls out, asking if Xiaolei is hiding inside. A muffled voice from behind a curtain insists they're not there and tells him to look elsewhere. He yanks the curtain open, revealing a terrified girl who screams for help. Her terror instantly vanishes as she recognizes her rescuer, calling him Brother Kong Chul. She throws herself into his arms, but Kongja is stunned that she somehow remembers him. With a haunted look, she asks the impossible question. How did he survive after she watched him die? Kongji is floored, demanding to know how she remembers a past he's trying to rewrite. He realizes his rebirth leaves echoes in people's minds, a ripple effect he never anticipated. But he's snapped back to reality by the overwhelming number of monsters still in their way. Meanwhile, Sumeikin stands victorious, having single-handedly cleared the area. Kongji's jaw drops. A newly awakened user shouldn't be this powerful. The Spear Queen turns, surprised to see a new face clinging to her master. Xiaolei quickly stakes her claim, declaring herself his sister, much to his surprise. With the introductions over, Kongja sets their next goal, the 5th floor, a challenge Sumeikin eagerly accepts. He tries to rein in her battle lust, reminding her that teamwork is key to survival. But she just scoffs, hungry for a real fight and more levels to add to her power. Kongji warns his team about 2 slippery brothers they're about to face. Inside, A familiar scavenger boss is hoarding food and controlling the survivors. He makes a twisted deal with a woman, promising sustenance in exchange for her loyalty. The woman plays along, feigning affection to secure her next meal. Their little power trip is interrupted by a loud, explosive entrance. The scavenger brothers are furious, demanding to know who dared to crash their party. Kongji strolls in with his entourage, greeting his old enemies with a knowing smirk. Sumaken sizes up the thugs, her expression unreadable but ready for a fight. The lanky scavenger's eyes lock onto the Spear Queen, his face twisting with greedy desire. He immediately makes a move, declaring he needs to inspect the goods first. But his advance is cut short as a foot flies directly toward his face. Kongja sends the thug flying with a powerful kick, declaring his companion is off limits. The lanky scavenger looks up from the floor into the sharp, unforgiving point of a spear. Sumaken coldly informs him that Kongjae's kick was a mercy compared to what she had planned. The scavenger boss grits his teeth, realizing his opponents are far faster and stronger than he expected. He quickly switches tactics, offering a groveling apology and promising to pay for their troubles. Kongja is completely unmoved, questioning if words are enough to settle this score. Dropping the act, the leader roars that if an apology won't work, his axe certainly will. Both Sumaken and Xiaolei cry out in alarm as the brute lunges forward for the kill. But Kongja meets the furious axe swing with his sword, effortlessly stopping the attack in a shower of sparks. The scavenger leader roars in disbelief, unable to comprehend Kongji's strength. Kongja's expression is one of calm focus, completely unfazed by the brute's rage. With a single hand, he effortlessly holds back the full force of the scavenger's attack. The leader's bravado returns, calling Kongjae's skills sloppy and seeing him as easy XP. Kongjae cryptically reminds the thug of their previous encounter, enjoying his confusion. The scavenger leader is baffled, insisting they've never met before this moment. Kongjae cuts the conversation short, promising the thug will understand soon enough. He unleashes a powerful wave of energy, a swirling vortex of blue light from his blade. The scavenger is thrown across the room, his tough guy act shattering on impact. Before he can recover, the scavenger finds the cold, glowing edge of Kongjae's sword at his neck. Kongja demands the contents of the scavenger's chest, offering to consider sparing him. The leader tries to lie, claiming there's only a worthless piece of armor inside. Kongja sees right through the lie, threatening to end his brother's life for the deception. Panicked, the leader offers up the legendary fantasy scroll, just like in the last timeline. Kongja snatches the scroll, unimpressed by the scavenger's pathetic attempt to trick him. With the threat neutralized, he tells his team to gather supplies and take a break. Sumaken questions the delay, wondering why they're just waiting around. Suddenly, the lanky scavenger erupts in a brilliant golden light, beginning his awakening. Kongji reveals his master plan. He was waiting for the thug to awaken, saving him time later on. The leader cackles, convinced that with his newly awakened brother, they now have the upper hand. The lanky scavenger roars with newfound power, announcing his long-awaited awakening. Feeling invincible, he vows to make Kongja pay for his arrogance. Kongja was completely unimpressed, mocking the thug's first words as an awakened user. Enraged by the disrespect, the scavenger screams that his new power will be Kongja's end. Cutting the monologue short, Kongja lunges forward, tired of all the useless chatter. The scavenger is instantly outclassed, realizing his opponent's impossible speed is a death sentence. Kongja takes the thug's dagger, noting its special properties and claiming it for himself. Sumaken suddenly intervenes, calling him out for acting like a common thief. He shoots her a sharp look, pointedly asking where her loyalties truly lie. She quickly backpedals, insisting she's on his side before getting angry about his choice of nicknames. He calls her silly for defending her enemies, but she just fires back that he's the arrogant one. In a desperate move, the scavenger leader grabs the Spear Queen, holding her hostage. He foolishly demands Kongja return the scroll and surrender his weapon. Kongja calmly informs the thug that angering her was a grave and final mistake. The scavenger leader screams threats, completely oblivious to the danger he's actually in. But the Spear Queen effortlessly flips her captor, proving she was never in any real danger. She looks down with disgust, regretting she ever tried to defend such worthless trash. The scavenger's face twists in horror as he realizes she's also an awakened user. With a single word, Sumaken brings her spear down, ending the thug's pathetic stand. The defeated leader can only cower in terror, begging for his life from the woman he tried to threaten. The lanky scavenger roars in fury, vowing a fight to the death for his fallen brother. He makes a desperate escape, smashing through a window and cackling that the monsters will finish them off. But his victory laugh is cut short by a blade piercing through his chest. Kongji watches coldly as the final scavenger's escape plan ends permanently. He realizes the shattering glass has just rung the dinner bell for every monster in the area. Taking charge, he orders the terrified survivors to help him barricade the doors immediately. The makeshift barricade groans under the weight of the pounding monster horde outside. The survivors descend into chaos, screaming for help as their fragile defense begins to fail. Kongji announces their only way out is up, declaring they're heading for the roof. They emerge onto the frozen rooftop, making a final, desperate push for the highest point. Sumaken worries about the fate of the survivors they've left behind. The abandoned crowd begs for their help, terrified of being left as monster bait. But their fear quickly turns to blame, accusing Kongji of making things worse. Kongja scoffs, asking if these ungrateful cowards are really worth her sympathy. She defends them, insisting their fear is making them act irrationally. He warns her that she hasn't seen the ugly side of human nature yet. He tells her to ditch her compassion, because in this new world it's a liability. But she fires back, accusing him of being the one with a twisted heart. He ends the debate, promising that time will prove him right. With Xiaolei clinging to his back, he prepares to leap across the chasm to safety. A desperate survivor tries to drag Kongji down, screaming they'll all perish together. Sumaken realizes in horror that pulling him back now means a fatal fall for them both. But the survivor's desperate act is cut short by a spear that finds its mark. His face twists in agony as his plan to take them down with him fails spectacularly. The Spear Queen stands over her handiwork, having made a ruthless but necessary choice. Kongja lands safely, cheekily thanking Sumaken for the timely life-saving intervention. But she's shaken by her own actions, wondering if the world's end has corrupted her. He lectures her that survival is all that matters now and tells the little girl to make the jump. Sumaken fires back, furious that he dared to call her a little girl without permission. Her anger quickly fades as she makes a desperate request to leave and find someone. Kongja casually tells her he won't force her to stay if she really wants to leave. She quickly clarifies that she's not abandoning him, just needs to handle some personal business first. He coldly dismisses her promise, telling her not to bother coming back at all. His harsh words hit their mark, and she immediately offers to stay if he's angry. But he just winks, revealing he was only teasing her to get a reaction. He explains a new system task will force everyone to the city center, where they can meet up later. Kongji reminds her about the rare golden chest reward, urging her to complete her mission. Before she goes, he offers some parting advice, warning her to be wary of other survivors. His second rule is a simple one. She must send him a message every 3 days. But she's immediately offended, thinking he's trying to track her every move. He clarifies his intentions, explaining he just wants to make sure she stays alive. Sumaken sheepishly admits her imagination got the better of her. His final rule is a cryptic one. She has 9 days to reach the city center, no questions asked. As a parting gift, he tosses her a backpack loaded with essential supplies. Kongji tells her to ration the provisions as the road ahead will be long. With her mission set, she turns to leave, ready to find her own people. He offers a final grim warning. Survival is all that matters, no matter what she sees. In a surprisingly tender moment, he promises to always have her back, even if she doesn't understand his methods. Touched by his sincerity, she vows to trust him completely, secrets and all. The scene abruptly shifts as his loyal beast, Erha, looms menacingly over a new target. Sumaken rides off on his beast, shouting a cheerful thank you over her shoulder. Kongja plays dumb, pretending he couldn't quite catch what she said. She playfully yells back that it's his loss, refusing to repeat her heartfelt goodbye. He smiles, admitting her incredible power makes him a little jealous, but also puts his mind at ease. The story flashes back to the other rooftop, where the woman in red begs to be saved. The rest of the abandoned survivors join in, desperately pleading not to be left for dead. Kongja smirks, offering them a simple one-step solution to their little problem. He challenges them to make the same impossible jump across the massive chasm. The crowd erupts in protest, claiming a leap like that is a death sentence for ordinary people. But the woman in red steps forward, her eyes blazing with a newfound determination to survive. The other survivors call her insane, convinced she's jumping to her doom. She gets into position, demanding to know if his promise is real. He smirks, assuring her that his word is his bond. Without a second thought, she takes a running start, leaving the cowards behind. The onlookers can only stare in stunned silence, shocked by her audacity. She recalls the dark compromises she made just to stay alive. Flashbacks reveal a history of betrayal, a past she's desperate to escape. But his arrival feels like a second chance, a path to redemption. Vowing to seize her own fate, she soars across the impossible gap. Her heel smashes into the snow as she lands perfectly, celebrating her incredible feat. But her victory is short-lived as she slips on the icy edge, plunging toward the abyss. Just as she accepts her fate, a hand shoots out, refusing to let her fall. Kongji catches her midair, declaring her courage has earned her a second chance. Overwhelmed with relief, she collapses in the snow, finally letting her emotions show. But he's already moving on, reminding her this new world has no time for tears. He leads his newly expanded team into the darkness of the next building. A dramatic voice echoes from the shadows, demanding to know who dares enter her palace. But Xiaolei's face lights up with recognition, calling out her friend's name, Tuan Tuan. Tuan Tuan's voice erupts in fury as Kongzhi realizes they're being pelted with anesthetic needles. Their attacker is revealed, a giant rabbit in a maid outfit, impressed by his dodging skills. Kongji recognizes the voice, deducing it's just a cheap voice changer. Without hesitation, he takes out the rabbit puppet with a single decisive strike. He sighs, completely unimpressed by the familiar, ridiculous display. Tuan Tuan appears, launching into her dramatic backstory as the reincarnated ghost queen, Margaret. But Kongji cuts her off, flipping the script by asking if she knows who he is. Her dramatic act falters, completely caught off guard by his interruption. He plays along with her fantasy, declaring himself her fated enemy, the Black Dragon. Tuan Tuan is stunned, realizing he just recited the exact lines she had planned for her rival. She's convinced he's a mind-reading villain for stealing her dramatic scenario. Falling back on her old tricks, she activates her guardian array, daring him to enter her trap. Kongzhi zips past a stunned Tuan Tuan, completely ignoring her dramatic pose. He grabs her by the wrist, yanking her out of her own trap before she can react. He reveals he already died here once, so her little magic circle was no surprise. Then he points out her Hell's Array is just a bunch of cheap festival lights. Humiliated, she bites his arm, furious that her grand plan was so easily dismantled. In a rage, she stomps on a plank, activating a much more primitive and deadly trap. A metal ball flies through the air, triggering a crude but effective Rube Goldberg machine of doom. A volley of sharpened wooden stakes erupts from the wall, aimed right at him. He has a flash of his previous gruesome death at the hands of this very trap. But this time he effortlessly dodges as Xiaolei screams a useless warning. He realizes his unlucky curse is real, as the trap nearly got him again despite his foresight. Tuan Tuan is completely baffled that her deadly trap failed to even scratch him. She quickly recovers, declaring he's impressed her but warns that she's just getting started. Kongji calls out her bluff, telling her to drop the act and admit she's surprised. She leaps into action, unleashing her next dramatic move, the floating umbrella sword. He effortlessly dodges her attack, unimpressed by what is clearly just a regular umbrella. Losing his patience, he leaps forward and delivers a light chop to her head, ending the charade. The Ghost Queen is reduced to tears, complaining that he hit her way too hard. Fei Fei rushes to her sister's side, but Tuan Tuan tries to play it cool, claiming she's had worse. Her tough girl act completely fails, leaving Fei Fei utterly confused by the bizarre claim. Tuan Tuan dramatically declares herself his hostage, which Xiaolei eagerly volunteers for too. But Kongji cuts through the drama, demanding to see her stats to solve the mystery of her power. The little ghost queen is completely flustered, shocked that he can just command her system. As a holographic panel appears, Fei Fei can only stare in disbelief at her crying sister. He discovers her unique status as half-awakened, finally understanding why she qualifies for his mission. Her stats reveal a critical weakness. She can't level up and has no real skills, only a passive talent. Her magical fantasy flame is just an illusion, a flashy trick to fake a higher power level. He realizes her entire act is for scaring people, but notes she must have a golden chest for awakening second. With the puzzle solved, he bluntly asks the still-crying Chuni where her reward chest is. She erupts in a tearful rage, revealing that as a half-awakened, she can't even open it herself. Kongji offers to open the chest for her, pointing out she can't do it herself anyway. She suspiciously asks if he's telling the truth, but he tempts her with the mystery inside. Tuan Tuan reluctantly agrees, threatening him with the wrath of the Blood Queen if he betrays her. He calmly places a hand on the golden chest, ready to reveal its legendary contents. The chest reveals the hero's gem, a powerful item that levels up with its user. Kongju is genuinely surprised, realizing the incredible value of her reward. He recalls that gems are ultra-rare items capable of upgrading any weapon they're socketed into. But there's a catch. Only a special NPC in the city center can perform the upgrade. Tuan Tuan eagerly demands to see the prize, her eyes locked on the glowing gem in his hand. He hands it over, explaining that while it's a rare treasure, it's completely useless for now. Tuan Tuan erupts, scolding him for carelessly tossing around her priceless treasure. With both sisters found, Kongzhi sets his sights on their next destination, the city center. But he realizes his mana is too low to transport his entire team to safety. Deciding to take a gamble, he prepares to spend a precious skill point. He learns Water Wave Ripple, a skill that lets him transfer mana but comes with heavy restrictions. With a smirk, he decides the half-awakened Chuni is the perfect test subject for his new ability. Tuan Tuan is caught completely off guard by the sudden surge of blue energy. Kongju envelops himself in a swirling blue aura, ordering the little ghost to stay put. But she just cackles, mocking his attempt to borrow her power after taking her hostage. In a burst of dramatic flair, she unleashes her hell flames, vowing to turn him to ash. But Xiaolei completely ruins the mood, cheering on Tuan Tuan's pretty, harmless flames. Tuan Tuan ignores her friend's praise, screaming that it's time for her enemy to burn. Her dramatic attack fizzles out, leaving her to wonder where her power went. Kongja smirks, having successfully siphoned her mana to recharge his own. With his power restored, he orders the girls to get up, warning them to stay quiet on their way home. Tuan Tuan is completely baffled, demanding to know what he means by home. He calmly clarifies that he's taking them back to the house they used to live in. The little ghost queen panics, absolutely refusing to return to her old house. She claims a saint angel is there, and their rivalry means certain doom if they meet. Kongji connects the dots, realizing she's talking about Fei Fei and that the sisters had a falling out. Kongja calmly tells her the choice to go home is hers to make. But he follows up with a friendly warning that he'll be taking her either way. She fires back with a threat, vowing to scream and attract every monster in the city. Her dramatic ultimatum is met with a completely unimpressed, silent stare. 5 minutes later, a bound and gagged Tuan Tuan learns her threats were empty. With his team assembled, Kongji prepares to move out under the cover of snow. He activates his stealth skill, turning his entire party invisible for a silent escape. They arrive at a familiar door, and a cautious voice asks who's there. Kongja reappears, announcing his return with a struggling Chuni still on his back. Fei Fei's welcome is less than warm as she glares at her captive sister. Kongja internally screams, wondering why both sisters have to be such a massive pain. Fei Fei ignores the drama, sharing a tearful reunion with Xiaolei, overjoyed to see her safe. But Kongja quickly interrupts, clearing his throat to get everyone's attention. Now that the team is assembled, he announces it's time for a briefing on their next move. His new recruits listen intently, though the little ghost queen is still clearly pouting. He reveals that survivors have fortified the city center, creating the only true safe zone. But he warns that the rest of the city will soon be completely overrun by monsters. He lays out their options: stay and fend for themselves or follow him to the city center. Tuan Tuan cackles, eagerly accepting the chance to conquer a new town on her path to world domination. But the woman in red flatly refuses, declaring the plan is too complicated and she's not going. Kongja calls out Fei Fei's laziness, warning her that research is impossible without resources in this new world. Stunned by his logic, she asks the simple question, why is he trying to save them? He explains that survival requires a team, and her brilliant mind is exactly what he needs. He sweetens the deal, promising not just freedom but full support for all her future projects. Fei Fei considers his offer, clearly tempted by the chance to continue her work. But she has one condition, pointing to the woman in red and asking about her fate. Kongja clarifies he'll honor his promise to get her to the city center, but their paths will diverge there. The woman's face falls, realizing his promise of safety doesn't include a place on his team. With the decision made, he tells everyone to rest up for their early morning departure. But Fei Fei is already hard at work, revealing she's been reverse engineering his tech. She reveals that the comms aren't broken, just being jammed by a mysterious substance. With a bit of scientific flair, she theorizes the interference is magic and she can fix it. Kongji is stunned by the news, realizing this could be a massive game changer for all survivors. The brilliant scientist confidently states that with just one more day, she can get them back online. Thrilled by the development, he eagerly sets their departure for the day after tomorrow. He internally marvels at her genius, remembering it took a full year for scientists to do this in his past life. But Fei Fei's terrifying intellect has cracked the code in a single day, proving her immense value. He knows that with working communication, their journey to the city center will be infinitely safer. Later that evening, the team enjoys a well-deserved meal after a long day of planning. The woman in red gratefully thanks them for the food, a rare moment of peace in the new world. Xiaolei's friend praises Kongji's cooking skills, which he humbly accepts. He internally grumbles that he's the only one in a house full of women who can make a decent meal. Their quiet evening is shattered by a sudden frantic knocking at the door. Kongji immediately takes charge, telling the others to stay put while he investigates. He cracks the door open, demanding to know who's interrupting their dinner. A desperate man with a starving child begs for food, pleading for their help. After Kongja shuts the door, the man desperately insists he heard them cooking. The blue-haired woman suggests they show some compassion and share their food. But Kongja hits her with a chilling question. What if she had been the one to answer the door? She's left completely stunned, unable to comprehend the hidden danger in his words. He explains that kindness gets you killed, but she insists on sharing their leftovers anyway. Kongji snaps back, declaring he's not running a charity service in the middle of an apocalypse. She begs him to reconsider, asking him to do it as a personal favor to her. The rest of the team watches the tense standoff, wondering who will back down first. He finally relents with a glare, warning her this is a one-time exception to his rules. The woman hands over a bag of food, telling the man it's all they can spare. The man and his child are overcome with gratitude, thanking her for the life-saving meal. After closing the door, she lets out a sigh of relief, happy with her act of kindness. With the drama over, Kongji dismisses everyone, telling them to get some rest. The next morning, he's already up and training, unleashing a powerful arc of energy. He effortlessly carves through a pack of shadowy beasts, starting his day with a little monster hunting. With a final, devastating swing, he clears the entire area in a flash of brilliant energy. Kongja casually explains he was just getting in a little morning workout before breakfast. He reveals he's already banked enough XP for 5 levels, but is saving them for a strategic advantage. With his training done, he heads back with his beast to check on Fei-Fei's progress. A system notification pops up, announcing a new task right on schedule with his past life. His eyes are drawn to a swirling blue vortex that has suddenly appeared in the sky. He recognizes the phenomenon instantly. It's a legendary treasure fishing hole. These holes offer a chance to fish for random treasures, with a slim shot at god-tier artifacts. But his confidence wavers as he admits his fishing skills are terrible, fearing he'll waste the golden opportunity. He recalls a legendary fisherman from his past life who mastered the vortex's patterns for immense wealth. A light bulb goes off. The fishing hole's vibrations are just like his water wave skill. The system confirms his brilliant hack worked, granting him 5 chances to fish for treasure. He immediately puts his theory to the test, hooking a massive glowing fish on his first try. With a prize this big, he's confident a gold treasure chest is just a few more casts away. But his next 2 catches are a letdown. A small stat-boosting fish and a purple-grade tentacle. His final pull yields something unexpected, a mysterious golden scroll case. The system identifies it as a holy enchanter scroll, a gold-ranked secondary profession he never knew existed. He stares at the scroll, completely baffled by the legendary holy enchanter class. Knowing even purple-grade enchanters are strong, he realizes this gold-tier profession is on a whole other level. Kongja doesn't hesitate, immediately learning the legendary holy enchanter profession. But he's stunned by the massive XP grind required just for the first level. He quickly realizes the trade-off: double the effort for enchantments that are 10 times stronger. The class has an even bigger secret. It can enchant not just gear, but souls themselves. This means he can create loyal weapon spirits that fight independently by his side. He smirks, deciding the hellish grind is a small price to pay for such incredible power. With one last chance at the fishing hole, he's determined to reel in a golden prize. But after 40 minutes of nothing, he's convinced his legendary luck has finally run dry. Just as he gives up hope, a massive tug on his line yanks him back to attention. He reels in a giant bass, a rare item that can evolve his pet into a high-level fighting beast. Our hob barks with hearts in its eyes, desperate for a taste of the legendary fish. Kongji calms his eager beast, promising the prize later for good behavior. He realizes the fishing hole's potential, but knows he'll need more mana for a bigger haul next time. With his energy spent, he makes a strategic retreat, planning to return once he's recharged. Meanwhile, a desperate crowd of survivors has gathered outside a snow-covered building. A tough-looking thug leads the group, ready to take what he wants by force. But Tuan Tuan stands in their way, smugly warning them to back off before her man gets back. She leaps into action, unleashing her dramatic flair and calling the thugs puny mortals. The little ghost queen launches into her epic backstory, claiming to be an ancient royal ghost. But her grand performance is cut short as someone yanks her back mid-sentence. Kongja makes his grand entrance, standing between his team and the new threat. Tuan Tuan gleefully orders her new guard dog to take out the trash. The thug leader realizes he was tricked by a level 1 Chuni, but senses Kongja is the real deal. He turns on his informant, demanding to know if the promised loot is even real. The desperate father confirms their stash, revealing his act of kindness was repaid with betrayal. The blue-haired woman stares in disbelief, realizing her charity just led a wolf pack to their door. The man apologizes, admitting he sold them out for a chance to get his son to safety. The thug leader lays out his terms: hand over the women and supplies or face the consequences. Kongja smirks, sarcastically suggesting the woman in red should take the thug's generous offer. but she furiously shuts it down, declaring her loyalty now belongs to him and him alone. The thug leader's brother rages, unable to believe the woman would side with their enemy. But before he can act, Kongja shuts him down with a single devastating punch. The goon is sent flying, his tough guy act ending in a painful arc through the air. The remaining scavengers are stunned, completely baffled by Kongji's incredible power. Undeterred, the leader steps forward, foolishly advising Kongji to just give up. His cronies pull out a gun, convinced that brute force can't beat modern firepower. Kongji just scoffs, unimpressed by the pathetic attempt to threaten him with a mere toy. The leader is left speechless, his confidence shattered by Kongji's sheer audacity. In a flash, Kongji disarms the gunman, proving speed beats bullets every time. The leader finally understands, recognizing the mark of a level 4 awakened user and realizing he's completely outmatched. Kongji stands over the defeated thugs, casually asking if anyone else wants a turn. The thug leader turns on his informant, furious he was tricked into fighting an unwinnable battle. Realizing he's outmatched, the leader quickly changes his tune, offering Kongji a spot on his team. Kongji scoffs at the pathetic offer before demanding payment for his broken door. The leader's brother pipes up, foolishly telling Kongja to stop being so arrogant. A sharp glare from the leader is all it takes to silence his hot-headed sibling. Trying to smooth things over, the scavenger boss offers a handful of cash as a peace offering. Kongji is completely unmoved, telling the thugs to get lost before he changes his mind. The leader hastily agrees, gathering his crew and promising they'll never cross paths again. But as they retreat, he glares back, silently vowing this humiliating defeat won't be their last encounter. Tuan gloats from the couch, convinced her dramatic act scared off the thugs all by itself. With the immediate threat gone, Kongja formally asks the women if they'll join his team. He explains that joining means they're a unit, and teamwork is non-negotiable. He then lays down his own terms. He's the leader, and his word is law. Xiaolei immediately agrees with unwavering loyalty, while the others seem more hesitant. Kongja turns his attention to the pouting Chunni, making it clear she's not exempt from the rules. Under his intense gaze, Tuan finally caves and agrees to listen for once. A system notification confirms their new alliance, officially forming the team. But Tuan just smirks, believing she's seen through his tough guy act. She cackles, convinced she's figured out his secret mission is to be their personal bodyguard. Tuan gloats, convinced she's finally found his weakness, his duty to protect them. Kongji is completely unfazed, challenging her to explain what she'll do with this newfound knowledge. She declares herself the new boss, threatening to take risks if he doesn't obey her every command. But Kongja has had enough of her games, stepping forward with a look that shuts her up instantly. She nervously reminds him he can't hurt her, and he agrees with a dangerously calm expression. He clarifies that while he can't hurt her, he can certainly teach the brat a lesson she won't forget. With a furious glare, he asks if she seriously thought she could blackmail him. The little ghost queen cries out for her sister, begging for help from her angel. But Fei just scoffs, telling her to stop being arrogant and accept her much-needed education. The woman in red pulls Fei away, deciding it's best to leave the two of them alone for a while. He demands she drop the act, but she just threatens to feed him to the monsters. A piercing scream echoes through the room as her lesson in discipline begins. The little ghost queen's bravado shatters into tears, begging him to stop. Kongju dusts off his hands, warning her to think before she acts next time. But his anger quickly fades as he gently applies ointment to her head. He explains his harsh methods, telling her she can't treat her life like a joke. His words hit their mark as he asks what her death would do to her family. He urges her to make up with her sister, reminding her that family is all they have left. But she erupts in defiance, declaring that loving her sister is completely impossible. Her dramatic rant about a rival Saint Angel is cut short by another swift chop to the head. Kongja snaps, demanding she stop bad-mouthing the sister who can hear her every word. But Tuan drops a bombshell, screaming that the Saint Angel isn't her real sister at all. Kongju is completely floored by the shocking revelation. The little ghost queen explains her sister used to be kind before she became obsessed with her research. Now all she gets is scolding from the person who used to care for her most. He finally understands Fei's genius drove a wedge between the once close sisters. Tuan vows to master her own power, determined to one day rescue her brainwashed sister. Kongja quietly reveals he also has a younger sister, one who is only 5 years old. The Chunni immediately calls him a liar, pointing out the impossible age gap. He shares a painful memory, explaining his sister was 5 when she passed away 10 years ago. Tuan is left speechless, her dramatic act completely forgotten. He reveals he and his sister were orphans, relying solely on each other to survive. One day, exhausted from work, he snapped at her for wanting to play, and she ran away in tears. His last words to her still haunt him, a furious demand for her to leave and never return. He grimly notes that out of all the wishes he's ever made, that's the only one that came true. Kangji admits he's always had a strange feeling she's still alive, hidden away somewhere. Tuantuan's eyes widen with a sudden shocking realization. He's completely baffled by her sudden change in demeanor, asking what's on her mind. She leaps to her feet, insisting that his sister must still be out there somewhere. He just smiles sadly, telling her not to worry, as he's long since accepted his loss. She suddenly plants a kiss on his cheek, leaving Kangji completely stunned. Wiping her lips, she declares their contract has officially been completed. The Blood Queen and the Black-Winged have now entered a formal alliance. She reveals their new goal: find the reincarnation corridor and bring both their sisters back. Kangju is left speechless, completely blindsided by her heartfelt, impossible plan. She grabs his hand, sealing their new pact to work towards the same goal. He smiles, realizing that beneath her dramatic act, she's surprisingly kind-hearted. With his mana restored, he heads back to the fishing hole, leaving his beast to guard the door. But he arrives to find two rival gangs already fighting over the legendary treasure spot. The new leader smugly claims ownership, having arrived a mere 30 seconds before his rival. Kangja watches from the shadows, recognizing the thug he just humiliated. The rival leader hesitates, realizing he's outnumbered in this standoff over the fishing hole. Changing tactics, the defeated thug offers to give up the prize, but with a single condition. He proposes a simple trade, the fishing hole in exchange for help taking out a common enemy. The rival leader is skeptical, wondering why such a large force is needed for just one person. He points out that with nearly 50 men, targeting a single individual seems like massive overkill. The thug begins to explain, revealing their target is no ordinary survivor. His rival is shocked to learn their target is a level 4 user who fights above his rank and even has a pet. The thug admits he can't win alone, proposing they join forces to guarantee victory. The rival leader's greed takes over as he agrees, already planning how they'll divide the spoils. The thug sweetens the deal, mentioning the beautiful women in Kangji's party. His rival eagerly accepts, claiming the fishing hole as his prize before the fight even starts. But the first leader scoffs internally, convinced the treasure spot is worthless anyway. With their new alliance formed, the gang leader prepares to test his luck on the vortex. A voice cuts through the crowd, ordering them to step away from his prize. Both leaders whip around, startled by the sudden interruption to their deal. Kangja calmly walks into the standoff, completely unfazed by the 50 men surrounding him. The first thug recognizes his target immediately, confirming his identity to his new partner. Kangji stares them down, ready to reclaim what's rightfully his. But the rival leader is unimpressed, questioning how such a normal-looking guy could be a threat. The thug warns his new ally that Kangji is hiding his true power, but Kangji just offers them one chance. He draws his blade, giving them a final ultimatum: leave now, or face his wrath. The crowd of thugs is visibly stunned, their confidence shaken by his bold declaration. But their fear turns to mockery as they laugh at the guy who forgot how to run. The first leader repeats his demands, offering to be merciful if Kangji hands over everything. Kangja sighs, admitting he'd rather avoid a fight, but they're forcing his hand. The rival leader smirks, impressed that the lone survivor isn't even a little bit scared. In a flash of blue energy, he carves through the front line, sending thugs flying. The rival leader panics, screaming at his men to open fire on the impossibly fast target. A volley of bullets rains down, but Kangji's blade deflects every single shot with ease. Kangji calmly bats away the bullets, completely unfazed by their pathetic firepower. He closes the distance in an instant, disarming another thug before he can even react. With a single elegant swing, he sends another wave of goons flying through the air. He becomes a whirlwind of steel, effortlessly carving a path through the panicked mob. The remaining thugs can only stare in horror, their tough guy axe completely shattered. Their courage finally breaks as the entire gang turns and flees for their lives. The two leaders are left speechless, unable to believe their army was just dismantled. They stare at the battlefield, wondering how one man just defeated more than 40 of their best. Suddenly, a massive vortex of blue energy erupts from the fishing hole, changing the game. Realizing they've been played, the two leaders charge forward for one last, desperate attack. Kangja effortlessly parries the desperate attacks from both gang leaders at once. The thugs convince themselves he must be tired, believing a war of attrition is their only path to victory. They press their attack, certain that Kangji's stamina is about to give out. Their blades finally find their mark and the leaders grin, thinking the fight is over. But a sudden burst of energy proves them wrong as Kangji levels up mid-battle. The defeated leaders can only stare in disbelief, completely outclassed by his sudden power spike. Realizing they have no chance, the two bosses turn tail and make a desperate run for it. But their alliance shatters as one thug refuses to split up, hoping his partner becomes the target instead. Kongji leaps into the air, preparing to bring a swift end to their pathetic escape. In a final act of betrayal, the rival leader grabs his partner, ready to use him as a human shield. The thug leader activates a speed boost, leaving his former ally to curse his betrayal. But Kongjo's blade is faster, ending the human shield's pathetic stand. He swings his sword again, annoyed that one of the pests is getting away. Kongju is surprised, realizing the thug's hidden skill makes him too fast to catch. He stands over the fallen goon, complaining that he didn't even drop any loot. With the distractions gone, he can finally get back to the real prize, the fishing hole. An hour later, his magic has recharged to the gold level, making his reel even stronger. He casts his line with a mighty heave, hooking something massive in the glowing vortex. But his prize is two big blue fish, not the legendary golden one he was hoping for. He's completely baffled, wondering how he can't seem to land a golden fish. A system notification reveals his latest catch is a fish with a legendary sword inside. He pulls out the Apocalypse sword, baffled that its immense power is hidden in a white-grade weapon. The sword's basic stats are decent, but he's convinced there's more to it than meets the eye. A massive holographic panel erupts from the blade, leaving him completely stunned. The sword reveals a laundry list of insane unlock conditions, from killing thousands of zombies to defeating legendary heroes. Kongji is floored, realizing he's holding a weapon with 9 hidden, unlockable attributes. He finally understands that this humble blade will evolve into a gold-tier weapon with enough effort. This is no ordinary sword. It's a weapon that grows in power alongside its wielder. He knows he's holding a top-tier artifact, but a grim look reveals there's a serious catch. The conditions to unlock its true power are absolutely insane, promising a legendary grind. He notes that while killing monsters is easy, the later requirements are the real challenge. Kong just smirks, realizing the sword wants him to take down legendary heroes that don't even exist yet. He recalls that in his past life, there were only 10 epic heroes in the entire world. Deciding to ignore the impossible for now, he prepares to enhance his new blade with the purple material. He channels his energy, beginning the long and delicate enchanting process. An hour later, he's sweating and frustrated, annoyed by how long the enhancement is taking. He knows a single mistake could destroy both the rare material and his legendary new sword. The system finally announces a successful enhancement, boosting his stats and unlocking a new skill. He's stunned that the process gave him a skill, marveling at the true power of a holy enchanter. Impressed with his handiwork, he decides it's time to check his newly upgraded stats. A holographic panel displays his impressive new stats and skills after leveling up. He takes stock of his gear, deciding to save his last skill point for a critical moment. With his new power coursing through him, he dashes off to put it to the test. He carves through monsters with ease, marveling at how simple farming has become. A chibi flashback reveals his clever strategy: divide and conquer the monster horde. Confident in his new arsenal, he declares it's finally time to head back to his team. The scene shifts back to the snowy apartment building where the others are waiting. Inside, the women wait anxiously, the tension in the room thick enough to cut with a knife. A sudden noise breaks the silence as the woman in red realizes he's finally returned. Kongja enters, immediately ordering the 3 younger women to come with him, leaving the others confused. The woman in red looks nervous, unsure of what he has planned for them. But Kongja turns to her, adding her to the group he's taking on this special trip. Her name is Hong Ling, and she eagerly accepts his surprise invitation. He leads the 4 women through the snow to a small, isolated shed. The moment they step inside, the women are met with a horrifying sight. 4 different monsters are strapped to tables, alive and waiting. Kongja lays out their first lesson: learn to kill or you won't survive tomorrow. He asks for a volunteer, and the terrified women can only stare in silence. But Hong Ling steps forward, her eyes blazing with the will to survive. With a dagger in hand, she stands over her first target, ready to prove her worth. Hong Ling freezes, coming face to face with the snarling red-eyed beast. She feels Kongjo's intense gaze, realizing this is a test she cannot afford to fail. With newfound resolve, she raises the dagger, determined to prove she's no longer a victim. The blade plunges deep, ending the monster's struggle in a single decisive blow. Marked by the encounter, her expression hardens, her transformation into a survivor now complete. Kongja gives a rare nod of approval, acknowledging she has passed his brutal test. He then turns to Tuan Tuan, handing her the blade and declaring she's next in line. The little ghost queen puts on a brave face, insisting this is nothing for the great blood queen. But her bravado is a thin veil for her terror as she tries to convince herself the monster is just a bug. With a final shriek, she lunges forward as the other girls cringe, unable to watch the messy lesson. Tuan Tuan tries to laugh it off, but her shaking legs tell a very different story. He calls out her bluff, pointing out her legs don't quite match her monster-slaying boasts. But Kong Ji's real concern is for Xiaoling, the most hesitant member of the group. He tries to coach her through the kill, but she's too gentle-hearted for the grim task. Losing his patience, he gives her a brutal ultimatum: learn to kill or be left behind. The threat of abandonment snaps her out of it, and she grabs the dagger with fierce determination. Screaming that she'll do it, she charges forward to face her fears head-on. But her aim is way off and the dagger gets stuck, failing to finish the job. Kongja facepalms in frustration as the others stare, stunned by her epic fail. Suddenly, the dagger begins to glow with a mysterious power, taking on a life of its own. The dagger finishes the job on its own, leaving Xiaoling stunned by the sudden turn of events. She celebrates her lucky break as Kong Ji resigns himself to protecting the impossibly fortunate girl. Meanwhile, Fei Fei proves her own mettle, taking out a monster with a gun instead of a blade. Later that night, the team regroups after their brutal but necessary training session. Fei Fei proudly reveals her modified comms device, leaving Kong Ji impressed by her progress. She explains their communications are back online, but with a limited range of 1,000 meters. Kong Ji accepts the limitation, but his attention is drawn to a dangerous-looking laser gun on her workbench. Fei Fei dismisses her old project, admitting that even her advanced tech can't compete with magic. As the night deepens, the team finally settles in for some much-needed rest. Kongja lies in bed, reflecting on the day's chaotic events before drifting off. Kongja's eyes snap open, a mysterious new symbol now etched onto his skin. He wakes up to find Tuan Tuan on his chest, welcoming him with a dagger and a grin. A strange mark appears on his hand, which she dramatically declares is a summoning contract. The little ghost queen brandishes a sword, demanding to know if he will accept being her new lord. Kongji is completely baffled by her sudden, over-the-top offer of servitude. She kneels before him, pledging her sword and her life to seal their new contract. But he just sighs, completely unimpressed by her never-ending dramatic fantasies. The next morning arrives, bringing with it a brand new set of challenges. At 7 a.m. sharp, Kongji is already in disbelief over Fei Fei's latest demand. She insists on packing her entire high-tech lab for their trip, refusing to leave a single invention behind. Kongja reminds Hongling of the difficult conversation they had the previous night. He bluntly confirms her worst fear: she is not coming with them. In front of the entire team, he repeats his decision, leaving no room for argument. He advises her to find another group, confident her skills will make her a valuable asset elsewhere. Hongling's face falls, her hopes of joining their crew completely dashed. But the blue-haired woman offers a parting gift, a key to a hidden room. She reveals it's a high-tech personal shelter, strong enough to withstand even a rocket attack. Tuan Tuan is outraged at being kept in the dark, but the woman explains it was a necessary precaution. Hongling gratefully accepts the key, a small token of safety in a dangerous world. With the final farewells said, Kongji orders his team to move out, leaving her behind. As they travel, Fei Fei's high-tech drone acts as their personal radar, calling out monster positions. Kongji quickly formulates a plan, assigning the lone monster to Tuan Tuan while he takes the group. The little ghost queen eagerly accepts her orders, leaping into battle with a cry of, "Yes, master!" She fearlessly faces down a trio of shadowy beasts, ready to prove her worth to the team. Her blade flashes with brilliant blue energy as she effortlessly carves through her first target. Tuan Tuan unleashes a flurry of attacks, showing off the results of her brutal training. It's revealed Kong Ji created a fighting style just for her, turning her unique luck into a loot-dropping weapon. Kong Ji and Xiaolei praise her performance, and the Chuni can't help but beam with pride. But Fei Fei is completely unimpressed, dismissing her sister's victory over a low-level monster. Tuan Tuan's pride turns to rage, but Fei Fei cuts her off, pointing to something urgent on her screen. Fei Fei pulls up a replay, ruthlessly critiquing her sister's sloppy dodging technique. Tuan Tuan pouts, vowing to improve, while Xiaolei praises Fei Fei's sharp eye. Xiaolei adds that Fei Fei's harsh words are just her way of showing she cares. A flustered Fei Fei denies it, snapping that she just doesn't want Tuan Tuan dragging them down. The sisters' argument reignites until Kongji steps in to break up the family drama. Meanwhile, Kongjo has already finished his own fight, dispatching the monster horde with ease. A system notification pops up, revealing his sword has unlocked a new attribute after 100 kills. The Apocalypse attribute grants a massive stat boost and a 20% increase to his critical hit chance. He realizes the new critical rate is a game changer, significantly boosting his overall damage output. With his new power, he calculates that nearly every third strike will now be a devastating critical hit. Just as they pick up the pace, Xiaolei asks everyone to slow down for a moment. But it's Fei Fei who's completely exhausted, begging for yet another break. Kongjia groans that they've already taken 5 breaks, complaining about her terrible stamina. With a sigh, he summons a giant wicker basket out of thin air, shocking the team. He offers to carry the stunned scientist, who can't believe he's offering her a ride in a kid's basket. But she quickly changes her tune, admitting the ride is actually pretty comfortable. With Fei Fei taken care of, he puts the surprisingly reliable Tuan Tuan in charge of protecting Xiaolei. The newly organized team continues their long journey through the desolate, snowy landscape. Kongji keeps his hand on his sword, ready for any threats that might appear. But Fei Fei reports from her basket that her radar is completely clear, an unusually strange sign. Xiaolei points out the eerie silence, noting they haven't seen a monster in 30 minutes. While his team is oblivious, Kongjia knows this peaceful stroll is a very bad sign. His experience tells him only one thing scares away lesser beasts. A high-level monster has claimed this territory. He breaks into a cold sweat, realizing the creature is so powerful he can't even sense its magical aura. The girls notice his fear, but he internally denies the threat, certain no monster above level 6 should be on Earth yet. A flashback reveals that stronger monsters are usually torn apart by spatial turbulence when entering their world. This natural barrier gives humanity a crucial grace period to level up against weaker foes. With no other choice, Kongjia resolves to push forward, blind to where the apex predator might be hiding. Even Tuan Tuan drops her act, her serious expression showing she understands the danger they're in. Suddenly, Erha starts sniffing the air, having finally picked up the scent of their unseen enemy. Kongjia calls out to his beast, who is whimpering in absolute terror. He warns his team to be on high alert, his face grim with the weight of the unseen threat. A massive, 9-headed serpent erupts from a vortex of energy, its terrifying form revealed. The team stares in horror as they identify the legendary beast, a hydra. Kongjia explains it's a mythical sea monster, infamous for its long-range poison attacks. But he reveals its true terror lies in its regenerative power, making it nearly impossible to kill. He realizes its regeneration is how it survived the journey to their world, the scars on its body telling the tale. Fei Fei asks if he's relieved to have found an answer, but Kongjia has noticed something else. He points out the creature's swollen body, revealing a critical, game-changing weakness. It's pregnant. Kongjia declares that this is their only chance, as a pregnant monster is at its most vulnerable. The Hydra lets out a terrifying roar, its 9 heads ready for a fight. Kongjia orders his team to scatter as the massive beast lunges forward. The monster's glowing green eyes lock onto its prey with deadly intent. He narrowly dodges a tail swipe, realizing its multi-directional attacks are a huge problem. Xiaolei freezes in terror as one of the giant heads lunges straight for her, but a blade glowing with brilliant blue energy appears just in time to intercept. Tuan Tuan leaps to the rescue, unleashing her fantasy flame to protect her new family. The Hydra's head recoils in shock, surprised by the little ghost queen's sudden power. Tuan Tuan smirks, smugly showing off her impressive monster-slaying skills. The Hydra's eyes narrow, finally recognizing the Chuni as a legitimate threat. The Hydra looms over Erha, ready to strike down the terrified beast. In a heroic sacrifice, the loyal pet takes the full force of the devastating blow. Kongjia screams in agony as the backlash from his companion's death rips through him. The blue-haired woman rushes to his side, but he's already collapsing from the shock. His stats confirm the worst. His power has plummeted by 80%, leaving him completely vulnerable. A system rule reveals the devastating cost of losing a pet, a massive debuff at the worst possible moment. Tuan Tuan screams a warning as another head descends, aiming to finish off their weakened leader. Kongjia shoves his teammate to safety, just as the massive tail pulverizes the ground beneath them. Now defenseless, the blue-haired woman can only stare in horror as the monster turns its attention to her. But a massive purple tentacle slams into the beast's head, intercepting the fatal attack. The Hydra's heads hiss in fury, stunned by the unexpected tentacle assault. Kongjia reveals his trump card, a massive summoned beast, annoyed he had to use it so soon. The team can only stare in awe as Tuan Tuan worries about her weakened master. He orders Tuan Tuan to lead the retreat while he pulls out a glowing, stat-boosting fish. Without a second thought, he swallows the entire fish, shocking his teammates. The Hydra's wounds are already closing, its regeneration proving to be a massive problem. But the fish works its magic, instantly restoring Kongjia's power to its peak. Re-energized and ready for round 2, he charges forward to face the legendary beast. His summoned tentacles immediately ensnare the Hydra's heads, locking them in a crushing grip. The beast thrashes as the tentacles slam into it, finally putting the Hydra on the defensive. Kongjia taunts the massive beast, daring it to come closer. His strategy is simple. kite the Hydra within his tentacles' attack range for maximum damage. He resorts to childish insults, knowing it's the best way to enrage the monster. The Hydra's eyes glow with fury, its many heads hissing in pure rage. He admits his plan is embarrassing, but it's the only way to keep the beast focused on him. His taunts work a little too well as the Hydra lunges with terrifying speed. A massive tentacle intercepts the blow, but the force of the impact sends him flying. He winces in pain, realizing that even with his shield, the damage is still getting through. The enraged Hydra turns its attention to the tentacles, tearing them apart with its vicious bites. One of the heads sinks its fangs deep into a tentacle, refusing to let go. Kongji is horrified as he watches the Hydra's venom corrode his summoned tentacle. He realizes his only shield is dissolving, and without it, there's no chance of escape. But as the beast closes in, he notices a subtle flaw in its otherwise perfect assault. The Hydra is desperately protecting its scarred underbelly, revealing a critical weakness. A light bulb goes off. The monster isn't just pregnant, it's about to give birth. With a new target in mind, he declares its belly is the key to their victory. He first severs the poisoned part of his tentacle, saving his summon from certain doom. Then he unleashes a devastating new attack, aiming straight for the beast's weak spot. The Hydra lets out a deafening roar of agony, enraged by the direct hit. Kongji presses his advantage, his blade glowing with power as he continues the relentless assault. His relentless assault pays off as the wounded Hydra turns tail and flees for its life. But Kongja hesitates, torn between avenging his fallen pet and protecting his team. Just as he decides to retreat, Fei Fei suddenly demands he hand over her secret weapon. Her unexpected confidence catches him completely off guard. She furiously insists they can't let a prize this big just get away. A light bulb goes off. He realizes her laser gun might be powerful enough to finish the job. Kongji finally understands this scientist is far more capable than she lets on. But the weapon is too heavy for one person, so he orders the others to lend her a hand. The three women team up, combining their strength to aim the massive energy cannon. The fleeing Hydra stops in its tracks, sensing the immense power gathering behind it. Kongji leaps onto one of the heads, declaring the stinky snake is about to meet its end.